the meeting for June 23rd. Madam Clerk?
Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Councilman Asbill.
Present.
Councilman Buddy.
Present.
Councilman Chatelain.
Present.
Councilman Johnston.
Present.
Councilman Wheeler.
Present.
Mayor Bodier.
Present.
Police Chief Walker is absent. Fire Chief St. Cyr. Finance Director Todd Turnion.
Present.
City Attorney Scott Stansberry.
Present.
Myself, Carrie Hustis, is present. Mayor's announcement.
Madam Clerk, we're going to go on to our special presentations.
Okay, special presentations. I guess we'll skip number one.
Just recognize Assistant Chief Brian St. Cyr's here.
Oh, you want to give it?
You want?
We're on special presentations. Chief Walker, current state of the Harahan Police Department.
I can go over stats.
Whatever you want to do.
Brian St. Cyr, Assistant Chief of Police for the Harahan Police Department. Chief Walker's out of town, and he's asked me to come read the statistics. For the month of May, we had 623 calls for service, 9 accidents, 57 citations, 107 charges, 7 patrol requests, 12 narcotics arrests, 25 narcotics charges, 12 of which were felonies, 6 misdemeanors, and 7 city. We had 41 other arrests, with 76 charges, 2 felonies, 36 misdemeanors, 15 city, 23 traffic. No murders, no rapes, 1 simple robbery, 6 misdemeanor thefts, and 4 assaults. Once again, the city of Harahan has been recognized as the safest city in Louisiana, according to the national crime statistics compiled by the FBI. It's something that we've strived for and been doing for years now. Thanks to our citizens, our city officials, police officers. Our citizens get involved. When they see something, they say something, they get involved, and it's allowed us to accomplish what we've done. I know we have 2 issues on the that's going for first reading tonight with the budget. Money for our vehicles, which may be enough to cover for 2 vehicles, which are sorely needed, and money for an overhang. We have to get a price for the overhang. I'm not sure where we stand with that. The last price we got was 3 years. So we'll work on getting that so we can get you a good number. And that's just an overhang in the back, so when we're escorting prisoners in, that our officers don't have to do anything. So we appreciate it.
Chief, could you give an update, and I don't know if you could discuss, the missing person that's been running around? I didn't,
As of now, we have no information on where she could be. We don't have any information that there's a positive outcome, negative outcome. We have not been able to locate her. We've had our detectives working the case. I've worked the case. We've had search and rescue personnel in the river batcher, in the river, drones, aqueous drones in the water, aerial drones. We've had officers going door to door throughout the route that she possibly walked, which could be anywhere between Evans Road, near where the accident occurred, and Kenner. And a little explanation what happened. We have an individual, Jamie Allen, who was involved in an accident, single car accident, on River Road outside of Harahan. She was seen walking westbound on River Road with her purse after the accident by herself. That was the last time anybody saw her. Nobody saw her in the city of Harahan, but she does have an apartment in the city of Harahan. So we've participated in the search for her. We have no information that she went to her apartment. There's nothing on video. We've scoured videos from between Harahan all the way to Kenner. Her purse was found at the foot of Williams Boulevard and on top of the level. It had everything in it: cash, credit cards, phone, keys, a lot of personal items. The phone, nothing had been molested. molested or fooled with or stolen out of the purse. So somewhere between there and here, there was about a 4-hour period between when the accident happened and when the purse was found by a levee board on top of the levee in the county. We have served search warrants based on information we found on the phone. We've gone in and searched properties. We've gone into abandoned buildings. We've had volunteers that brought their people to come out and walk the Bachelor. We still have no information as to where Miss Allen could be. We're actively following up at any lead that could be out there. If anybody knows anything, you can go to our website or our Facebook page. We have a poster. There's a picture of her. The family has information on Facebook about Miss Allen. And right now, we're just following up any leads we can get. If anybody saw anything or knows anything about Miss Allen, please contact us or the family. We'll take any information we can get. And once again, the accident occurred on Evans Road in Jefferson Parish, and her purse was found in Kenner. So anywhere between Evans Road and Kenner, or even further than that, if anybody saw anything, we could really use the information and assist all the local law enforcement agencies. We've had assistance from Jefferson Parish, Kenner, Levee Board, State Police, State Police Fugitive Task Forces assisted, and we've consulted with multiple federal and other local agencies, Harbor Police, Corps of Engineers. So we're all working together. Nobody's gotten any information, and we could use some help if anybody knows it. Thank you for asking.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Special presentations number 2, Serge Villanova with Stranded South Music and Media.
So Serge let me know that he wasn't going to make it till about 8 o'clock, so if we can just move that further, just defer that till further down the agenda whenever he arrives. Perfect. And I do have one request of the council. We've got several ordinances on the agenda tonight for approval regarding capital project purchases, and so I know that the finance director has prepared a sheet and is prepared to talk about it, I'm assuming. Can we maybe move that portion of his presentation before the ordinances for approval so that we have a good understanding and can figure that out before? Okay, so I'll move to amend the agenda to add Todd Turnion, finance director, capital project fund discussion after resolutions.
Second.
Motion on the floor by Councilman Asbill to move Finance Director Todd Turnion to previous to ordinance for approval. All in favor?
Yay.
Yay.
5 yeas, 0 nays. Agenda is amended. No, thank you. Madam Clerk.
Approval of minutes. Reading of the minutes of the council meeting on May 19th, 2022.
Okay, do I have a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes for the council meeting on May 19th, 2022?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Wheeler, second by Councilman Johnson. All in favor?
Yay.
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 5 yeas, 0 nays.
If I may, I believe there's a correction necessary in the minutes regarding ordinance 2022-7. That ordinance showed me voting nay. I recalled voting yay.
I
I
have-
spoke to the clerk, and she checked the tape and confirmed. So that vote should show 5 in favor, 0 against.
Yeah.
So I'd like to move that we amend the minutes
you.
to reflect that.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Buddy to amend the amendments on proposed ordinance. What was it again?
2022-7.
2022-7 to change it from 4 yeas, 1 nay to 5 yeas. Do I have a second? I'll second by
Second.
Councilman Johnson. All in favor?
Yay.
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 5 yeas, 0 nays. Minutes are amended.
And then I have two. On the first one is old business number 2. It says Asbill was absent, but he abstained. He wasn't absent. So I want to correct that one. A
Thank you.
motion to correct that. And also new business number 2, it's abstained Wheeler. I believe she voted yea on the procession. So motion for both those.
We have two motions on the floor by Councilman Asbill to amend the minutes. Old business number 2 and new business number 2.
Councilman Johnson.
Councilman Johnson.
I'm sorry. Councilman
Second.
Johnson. I have a second by Councilman Buddy. We'll open for a public hearing. Anyone who wants to question those amendments? No one coming forth. We'll now close public hearing. All in favor?
Yay.
Yay.
5 yeas, 0 nays. The minutes are amended.
Sorry, guys. I had COVID. Sorry.
Move to approve as amended.
We have a motion to approve by Councilman Asbill, second by Councilman Catalina, to move to approve as amended. All in favor?
Yay.
I'm open for public hearing, but we'll open for public hearing. No one comes to be closed. We'll now close public hearing. 5 yeas, 0 nays. Minutes are approved as amended. Madam Clerk?
Okay, no communications, resolutions, proposed resolution number 2022-7. The following resolution was offered unanimously by the council of the city of Harahan. A resolution accepting the municipal water pollution prevention environmental audit report for the period of January 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2021, and to inform the Louisiana Department of Environmental Quality that the following actions were taken and additional actions will be taken by the city of Harahan.
Okay, we will now open for public hearing. Anyone who comes to speak forth on proposed resolution number 2022-7, please come forward. No one coming forward, we'll now close public hearing. Council discussion? No council discussion being heard. Council, a motion to approve? Motion by
Motion.
Councilman Wheeler, second by Councilman Johnson. All in favor?
Yay.
5 yeas, 0 nays. Resolution is approved.
New business, number 1, Todd Turnion, Finance Director.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. We're here just to give a brief update on the capital project fund and the cash balances as of this week. So we dated as of June 21st. So certainly any activity that you would vote on tonight is not included within this spreadsheet, and/or any other activity that may have happened in the last few days or before June 30th is not considered in this schedule. And what we did is basically identified the restricted funds within the capital project fund, and identified those balances and the activities for the 2022 year. And then the remaining balance is basically an unrestricted bucket, which is primarily funded by the video poker funds each year that are transferred from the general fund to the capital project fund. And that's the bulk of the unrestricted balance, is the video poker funds from prior years as well as current year amounts. And so the balances that are restricted are about $158,000 remaining from Jefferson Parish from several parish-related grants. We have $112,000 from a state appropriation.
Unrestricted? Also unrestricted?
Those are restricted.
Oh, restricted.
Yes, yes. The grants from the parish typically have a purpose.
How much was the grant from the parish, Todd? I'm sorry.
$158,000 is remaining. We have a state of Louisiana appropriation, Act 45, I believe it was last year, totaled about $250,000. We have $112,000 remaining, and that is restricted for specific expenses that were in that state award. I believe there's a $50,000 invoice for engineering fees that's on the mayor's desk to sign as part of this restricted grant. So that'll lower this balance to about $60,000. We have $250,000 from the Colonial MSA. That's the $100,000 for recreation and the $150,000, which I think was for street improvements or sewer improvements.
Yeah, so can I just, so for my reference, what does MSA mean in your?
Master service agreement.
Got it, okay.
So,
I.e. the ADA.
correct.
Correct, okay.
Correct.
So that's $100,000 for recreation and $150,000 for street improvement?
I believe it.
No,
it was
so
sewer, I believe.
this is where I was a little
Or no.
confused at. There should have been 350 that was collected from Colonial. 100,000 should have been for recreation. 100,000 should have been advanced for sewer, and then 150 should have been for other capital. So I would
Right.
call that unrestricted, basically.
Right.
So 150 of that would move over to your unrestricted line, I would believe.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. I would probably still show it, just for my preference. I can split it, but I'll show it as coming from Colonial, just given the nature of that.
Yeah, sure. So maybe sort of like you did over here, just give it a new
Correct.
line in the left column,
Yeah,
perhaps.
got it. And then the city has received insurance reimbursements of $1.1 million for the damages from Hurricane Ida. We've recorded those within the capital project fund to each respective department that the insurance company identified to us that the payments were for. We have,
Did we vote on that? There was some discussion about that, and I believe I was opposed to allocating it to the
Yeah.
capital funds of the department that, quote, utilized the asset.
Right.
They didn't own the asset.
right. I don't
Yeah,
know if,
so we did pass that ordinance.
yeah, I don't
Okay,
remember if it
thank you.
passed or not.
So it's a reimbursement for the repairs,
Correct. It is restricted
Well,
to that department.
restricted for the repairs of them certain
That-
buildings,
That's correct.
not restricted to the department.
Okay.
And of that insurance money, we have $100,000 that we have not been able to get clarity from the insurance company what that's for. They just gave us in advance $100,000.
And yeah,
Yeah. Miscellaneous.
So I'm sure it's at some point when the claim's closed out or at some future date, we'll get some clarity on what that's for. And then the column on the far right is the general activity, which again is primarily the video poker. And that fund has, or that column has about $989,000 of available funds within the capital project fund. So again, this does not include anything that the council would vote on or approve today. It also does not include any additional video poker funds through the end of this calendar year, which a conservative estimate would be maybe another $150,000. But the video poker money goes up and down. It varies a good bit. But it's been good the last few years, but month by month it goes up and down. But I would say a conservative estimate through the end of the year might be $150,000 in additional funds, barring any, unexpected.
Depressions.
Yeah. Yep.
Got it. So I just, when we got this last night from the finance director, I had some questions. So I'm going to ask the question. He's already answered them. I just want to make sure everybody, because you may have the same question. So for example, sewer impact fees, you're not seeing anything listed. And Todd explained that's because those are going to the sewer fund.
Correct.
Now, whether that's, not questioning you, whether that's the proper place for them, I'm not sure. I'd have to go back and look at the ordinance, but that's why they're not listed here. But that should be upwards of $200,000 that's been deposited to the sewer fund between new development or the ADA Colonial and development around the city.
So
From
I
the
would
last calculation on that.
I would suspect that those funds should go to the same place that fees collected for a new home construction for the sewer connection go to. Do you recall, Todd, where those funds
I
come
believe
from?
it's the sewer fund.
Right, that would make sense.
And
So it was specified in the ordinance where those funds should go. So I haven't checked the line items on it.
But they're a prepayment, right?
Some of them are prepayment, some of them are actual
Correct.
new home buildings that are occurring elsewhere in the city besides Colonial.
Right, but
Correct.
my thought is they all go to the same spot, wherever that has been
I would think so,
traditionally.
yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
so they're where they,
Yep.
either they're where they need to be or you'll adjust
Yep.
that.
Yep. And Jason, I'm happy to look at the ordinance again, but
Okay.
I thought I had looked at it and looked at the language and maybe it was not as clear.
Yeah,
But
perhaps.
I'm happy to look at it and, if we need to do something different based on the ordinance and the council's intent, we can certainly do so.
Okay. And then something I did not talk to Mr. Attorney on about was the, says Myers Engineering wind retrofit. That's 9,600. it's an expense that came out this year. So back in 2021, we passed ordinance number 1914 unanimously. And in there, we budgeted $69,000 for the wind retrofit program. That's essentially what the city's match would have been for that grant program. In 2020, just as an update, in 2021, we overspent that by $30,000 plus another $10,000 this year. So at some point, the council should evaluate feasibility of a program that we're not seeing any productivity on the streets.
So have we, and Councilman Asbill, you may or may not know the answer, have we funded our portion of that? That was the city's portion of the grant, correct?
That's my understanding, that 69,000 was our match for the grant.
Right.
And it was all paid in engineering fees.
Plus monies that
Plus
have been
40.
spent in the previous administration, hopefully. I don't know if they went to the match or not.
I don't know.
Yeah. But did that money come out of the capital fund, the expenditures you just mentioned?
Yes,
They came out of capital?
yes. The
So
council
they're-
allocated 69,000 of it, but not the other 40,000.
But they're paid, correct?
They are paid.
So when Todd, when you report that there's $989,000 of unrestricted capital funds available, then that money is already out of there. We don't have to do a mental subtraction.
Correct.
Thank you.
Correct. Yes, sir.
There are, I think the mayor said there are some other invoices he's sitting on that regard that program. I don't know the total of those.
And Todd, I have not been able to get
Okay.
emails, not through any fault of yours. So I
Okay.
haven't seen the schedule.
Okay.
I understand you sent it this afternoon.
I know I just sent it.
I intend to get with Kevin tomorrow or Monday so he can do his magic and get access to my
Yep.
emails.
If you have any questions, council members, I'd be happy to meet one-on-one or answer any questions you have related to this information.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ordinances for approval. Proposed ordinance number 2022-1. The following ordinance was proposed by Councilman Asbill and seconded by Councilman Chatelain. An ordinance amending ordinance number 1925, the annual budget of revenue and expenditures for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2022 for the Capital Project Fund of the City of Harahan, Louisiana, Fire Department Vehicle Capital Expense.
Okay, everyone, now open for public hearing, proposed ordinance number 2022-1. Anyone come to speak forward on that ordinance, please come forward. No one come to speak forward, we'll now close public hearing. Council discussion.
So on my ordinance, this is a holdover from January of this year that was proposed. This is to replace two, service vehicles that the fire chief and fire prevention officer currently drive. I think we've discussed it in the past, and so I'm willing to take any questions on it. But it's basically to buy two new SUVs for the fire chief and fire prevention officer to replace their current vehicles.
I was under the assumption that with a new sales tax, this wasn't going to be put in place because the sales tax was for other capital projects with the sales tax that just passed, which is supposed to be starting to get collected in July. So I was under the assumption this was put on hold until we made sure if that passed. Now that that passed, I was under the assumption this was going to be withdrawn.
So, unfortunately, there's not going to be enough collected this year to purchase those vehicles and fit into the fire budget. So, honestly, my hope was that the council would approve this and that the first $100,000 at the fire, you'll see later on in the budget amendments that every year the fire department, the chief has committed to transfer a certain amount of the sales tax to the capital fund for fire services. And so rather than transferring it directly to the fire line item, we would take the first $100,000 and send it back to the capital fund. Talk to Todd. It seems to be okay. We do that with other things, i.e. FEMA reimbursement stuff. We pay stuff out of capital, reimburse it with FEMA. So that's my hope, because the need for the vehicles is more immediate than when we would see the actual funds. So I'd like to move this forward if possible.
So the question is, so if we do that, we basically gonna set an example for other departments to come in and say, can we borrow money out of capital, we'll pay you back next year? I mean, I'm just asking the question. I don't know the answer. I'm asking the question.
So my answer to that would be, if the department, if the department.
He's thinking it already, like.
If the department, i.e. the police department, can show that there would be a transfer to capital in the future, a revenue source and a transfer to the capital fund, not restricted to the police department, then I would welcome that. Because I know that sometimes that there are immediate needs that need to be met, and the department may not have it, but they will in the future.
And I told you my only concern is what if next year there isn't enough to reimburse?
And I will
You
sit
don't
here
want
and
to, you
say,
don't want to drain the full capital. If it's 105 profit, but you got to pay 100 back, then it leaves you 5 for a calendar year, that you're obviously going to have other projects that you would.
I think would be more than fine next year.
Yeah,
That's what
I'm working off the projections that we got, which seem to be conservative, and so if we go with those projections, which is how we have to budget, right? That's how we have to budget for the city. We got to go off the projections that we're given. If we go off those projections, we're gonna be okay to transfer 194,000 to capital. The first 100 of that would go to straight unrestricted fire.
and I understand we're going off projections and we have professionals that make them projections. This is based off of a sales tax.
Understood?
I don't see the economy moving forward in a positive way. Trust me, I hope I'm wrong. I hope sales keep skyrocketing. I'm a little iffy on the projections. That's not my job to project that.
Right.
And I mean, I know we did it with FEMA money. 'Cause we're in a spot, we had to pay money, and we had to wait for FEMA to pay money back, we put it back. Just sets a bad example, and
Yeah. Look, I mean, that's how this city works, is off of projections. We've worked off of projections for this year's budget since October of last year. Those projections have been conservative, and they've been, the actual sales tax have been exceeding the projections. So, it's, I don't know what to tell you about your projections versus,
The professionals.
Yeah, versus the professionals' projections. I don't know. I'm comfortable, and I understand others may not be. I'm comfortable with working off the projections that we were given.
So I would be a little cautious about taking money received in 2023 and allocating it to a capital fund not part of the fire department. This is a dedicated sales tax. Can't do that. I don't think you can do it. It's a question for the attorneys. It's a dedicated sales tax. When we get that money, it's got to go to fire department uses.
it's questionable. I
So,
don't know the
so,
answer.
and besides that, I'm not comfortable, and we're going to talk about it in a little bit, with the entire allocation of funds. So I don't like to do things piecemeal. This is part of the utilization of the sales tax proceeds, whatever they may be. So for that reason, I'd like to defer it. And I'm hoping that a deferral until we get the big picture and look at those funds and look at the allocation of those funds that's finally decided on is not going to create a crisis in the fire department.
One day at a time.
So just to answer that briefly, look, they have vehicles that have been in the shop weekly. They just need to know whether to keep putting those vehicles in the shop and spending money on them. So I'm willing to call the question. If it fails, it fails. I'm willing to call it for a vote, but I'll let anybody else that wants to talk. I would not be in favor of deferring it again. Let's get it off the agenda one way or another. We'll bring it back up if we need to bring it back up.
I'm going to ask the question. Mr. Buddy brought it up. I mean, capital expenditure, dedicated sales tax for capital projects for the fire department. Can that reimburse the city? I mean, that's a new question. I mean, I wish I'd have had it 2 days ago. I mean, we can't sit here and take capital money and use it to pay salaries. How can we take capital money and refund it to something else that's not allocated for fire? It's a great question. I mean, we all agree we need the vehicles. I don't think any one person up here is going to say we don't need the vehicles. But in the same note, we need to make sure we follow the proper protocol.
Well, then if we need the vehicles, we have $989,000 in the capital project fund, let's go ahead and purchase the vehicles. And not worry about reimbursement. We'll find out later if that's possible. If it's possible, we do it. If it's not possible, then we don't do it.
Councilman, I love that plan.
I bet you do.
Without question.
My understanding of the sales tax fund, what it was going to go towards salaries and other expenses. And the way I look at this is an expense of the fire department that should come out of that additional revenue. That's just-
I don't drive your vehicles.
Yeah.
Can your vehicles get you through another 3 months? I'm asking the question.
Yeah,
I mean-
we can keep plugging them along, yeah, I mean, we're doing it now. And if it doesn't, you'll be the first to know. You might have to give me a ride.
I got an extra truck here and there.
I mean, well,
I call for the vote.
So we have a motion on the floor by Councilman Asbill.
Second.
Second by Councilman Johnson to call for the vote. All in favor?
Yay.
Yay.
All, I didn't hear, who said yay?
Yay.
Right. Nay?
nay.
2 nays. All right. Motion passes.
I was gonna go give you a ride.
I'll let you use my truck. You know that.
Proposed
Hey, whoa,
ordinance.
whoa, whoa. I am looking to get reimbursed the capital if it's at all legal.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm just letting you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, we need streets repaired. I go on and on.
You know, look, not to go back, I know that this issue was closed for the moment, but we do receive $634,000 of undedicated city revenue as well. So I think the case could be made that the tax revenue did in fact go in our budget, and we did in fact allocate to capital and allocated some of the, general fund revenue that we receive. It's, what is it, it's $638,324 a year that we receive in general fund revenue. So I think the case can be made that you move general fund revenue over to cover an expense created the previous year, and that you decided to transfer that to capital.
And I agree, but you know how bad we're going to get beat up on that?
Well, I mean, I would think.
You got to be there to defend
I
us.
would think, no, absolutely.
I mean, it's a touchy situation.
It's not that it hasn't been done before, and it's been done before where it could have been considered backdooring, which is what that would be, right?
Right, but if we cut you 100,000 to make up for this, you're gonna say, yeah, we got this millage, now you cut me on this.
Yeah, no good dirty dog, and I don't think I would do that.
Well, you saying it on the mic, so. I'm just saying it's a catch-22 there.
But I most certainly think there's a legal avenue in which.
Point of order.
Yeah.
I
I
just-
just want to clear something up. So when this first, we were just talking about, the conversation that came up was borrowing it from capital and then paying it back a year later. That was the last conversation. Was that vote based on that, or is it a vote pulling it straight out of capital?
Oh, it's a vote to track capital.
Okay, because 1 minute we're talking
With the
about
hopes-
borrowing it, that we're not sure we can do it.
With
and
the
then there
hopes
was-
of pulling, of being able to.
Okay,
But
so I
it
just wanna
doesn't
make
say
sure-
that in here.
It doesn't say, okay.
It doesn't say in there, but
So, okay, I was under
It's
the
not gonna be
impression,
all-
like
it'll
you
be
just
all
said,
separate,
it's
but-
we're gonna pull it and then reimburse it back. So you're saying now, just pull it from the 989?
We're pulling it from the and
Okay.
it's my understanding, we're
Then-
pulling it from the
I
989.
thought y'all were voting it to take it and
If
pay it back. And I
possible.
said, well, y'all might need to amend this. I would have voted differently.
Remember, you will be the same council that votes on that the next year.
On their
So
budget.
straighten this out
No, I
yourself.
No, I think the confusion was, the way it was said was, let's take it, and we were all conversating back and forth whether we could do it, and then the vote came. If we're just pulling it for capital, I'm not opposed to it being pulled from capital. I thought we were voting on the borrowing, and we don't know procedurally if that could be done.
You want to reconsider the vote,
I
change the
mean-
vote?
I'm not,
We can.
it was a little confusing.
Move to reconsider the vote.
If we're just pulling it straight from capital, I have no opposition from pulling it. I thought y'all were talking about borrowing it now and paying it back, and we don't really know if that can be done.
All right, so I move
We
to
still gonna try to
I
pay
move-
it back.
I hope y'all do, but what I don't want, and I told Jason this, I didn't want y'all to get stuck with 102,000, and then y'all are forced to put it back, and then you're stuck.
Well, it's the same effect.
So I moved to
But
re,
it comes out of the
Wait,
general
but if this-
revenue, it
Wait, but if
comes out
this
of
is
their
straight out
budget.
of capital, technically, they're not obligated to pay
No,
that.
what we're said is that when we do the budget
It
for
doesn't matter,
2023.
but I just want to clear it up for the record. That's
well,
all.
look, I'll
So we
move
need
to,
to make a
I'll
motion
move to
for it.
reconsider the vote. It requires a second and a 2/3 vote to reconsider.
Yeah, because it passes as it is, so just leave it alone and let's move on with the
I
day.
move to reconsider.
Second.
I'll second. You reconsider.
All in favor?
Yay.
Yay.
I move the original question on
All
voting,
opposed,
on,
nay.
All right,
One nay.
All right, so
Okay,
you,
one
you
nay.
over, we overridden this time.
That's
We got
right.
beat down.
I move to call the original question of allocating $100,000 from the capital project for fire department vehicles,
With no obligation to reimburse it back.
with no obligation to reimburse it back.
Okay, so we're now open for public
If you
hearing.
can, that's great, but you're not obligated to.
If anyone wants to speak on proposed ordinance number 2022-1, no one coming forth, we'll now close public hearing. Council has discussed it, we'll call for the vote.
Motion for the vote.
Moved. Yep.
All right, motion by Councilman Asbill, second by Councilman Chatelain, all in favor?
Yay.
Yay.
Is that 5 yeas?
4 yeas.
4 yeas? All nay, how many nays?
One.
All right,
4 yeas,
1 nay. Okay. Madam Clerk, proposed ordinance 2022-8.
Proposed ordinance number 2022-8. The following ordinance was proposed by Councilman Asbill and seconded by Councilman
I'll second.
Chatelain. An ordinance amending ordinance number 1925, the annual budget of revenues and expenditures for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2022 for the capital project fund of the City of Harahan, Louisiana, debris field renovations.
Okay, anyone wanting to discuss proposed ordinance number 2022-8, please come to the podium. No one coming forward, we'll now close public hearing. Council discussion?
Is this just us coming up with the money originally until we get reimbursed? Is that what this is? or-
Correct. So listen,
Yeah, we have some talks with Myers.
Yeah, so I proposed this just because I wanted to get the field moving.
Right.
You gotta start moving dirt so that we can, because no matter, like I said, I think I've said it to several of you previously, no matter who pays for it, it's gotta be done. I'm going to be amending it down to $300,000. We had Myers do some cost projections on it, and they phased it out, and phase one came in at like 242. And so they've already started to bid it out by letter to see, to get some bids in. So, phase one would be replacing, basically scraping and replacing sand and natural turf on the outfields and basically making a square large enough for a football and soccer field, because those are the first seasons coming up next year. And then phase two would be moving into the infields with the hopes at some point of doing turf. We've got reassurances from Deloitte, who's our professionals working through the FEMA process for us, that Brian Wallace is heading up, doing a great job on that. They are 99% sure we would be reimbursed for 90% of this cost. So that would be that. So I move to amend.
Wait, before we move
Yes,
to
sir.
amend,
Sure.
can I comment, please?
Yes, sir.
Thank you for giving me a copy of this Monday. As I'm reviewing Myers' estimate, there's an estimate for construction for $242,000 and an estimate for inspection for $12,000. And when I look at the Myers proposed task order for the mayor's signature, the amounts don't equal. He's asking for, $242,000. This is on page 1, and a resident inspection fee of $12,100. Let me see, his last page.
Yeah, so listen, I think I gave you, did I give you 2 separate sheets?
You gave me 5 sheets of paper, I believe.
5 sheets, and then was there one separate? Okay, so you're not working off the separate one, good.
All right,
The
so
the separate one was a preliminary cost estimate, this is a little bit more fine-tuned. The packet you have is more fine-tuned than the preliminary one. I just wanted to make sure you weren't working on the preliminary one.
The packet
Yeah, the 5-page packet that you have?
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. So just correct me or explain in a little better detail.
Did you give
As I'm
everybody
looking
that
at this, it's $242,000 for construction. And I think that includes a contingency fee.
That includes contingency and A&E.
Right. And then on top of that, there's a
We didn't get it.
$12,100 resident inspection fee. I don't think that's included in his 242, is it?
I don't know for sure. I don't think it is. Doesn't look like it is. That's why I'm putting it up to the 300 to cover the construction, the inspection fee, and anything else that might come up within that range.
Okay. So your understanding is it's 242,000 plus 12,100 estimated inspection fee?
That's my understanding. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
Yes, sir. Move to amend proposed ordinance 2022-8 by changing line 19 to read increased by 300,000.
Okay, so we have sorry?
Second.
All right, we have a motion on the floor by Councilman Asbill to modify proposed ordinance number 2022-8. Will now open for public hearing. No one coming to speak forth, and now his proposal is to change line 19 to annex, and what was the wording you used again?
Increase by,
To increase by 300,000.
correct.
All right, all in favor?
Yay.
Yay.
Motion is ordinance is amended.
So just as an update, if, on the playground itself, if this is approved, if Myers is able to start moving dirt on July 1st, they should have the football field ready for football season in mid-September for the kids to start playing at the playground again as a home field. And then again, as football and soccer are going on, soccer is they call it a winter sport, February, March. As that's football and soccer going on, they'll be hopefully working on the infields at that point, and hopefully we'll have money from FEMA at that point.
Councilman Asbill, we talked about clarifying on here the scope of the work Monday with some description that it was the entirety of the area you showed on the drawing. So to better define what the work was.
Yeah, so I think that drawing is part of this. It was, and we have, I'm sorry, you did ask me for that, and I received it. I did not forward it to you. It is, I do have the JPEG of it, of a smaller version of that drawing you saw on the desk in there, and I can send that to you.
Which is just the infield areas and
The-
soccer and football.
The
field.
outfields, yes.
Outfield area.
I'm
Outfields.
sorry, the outfield areas.
Correct.
Can we amend this to attach that, if you don't mind?
Yes, yes.
I mean, I propose.
We have a motion on the floor by Councilman.
No, yes, we can amend that. I don't mind. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
All right, so.
I understand.
We have a
Thank you.
motion on the floor by Councilman Buddy to amend proposed ordinance 2022-8 to attach the diagram. We'll now open for public hearing. No one coming to speak forth. We'll now close public hearing. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Johnson. All in favor?
Yay.
5 yeas, 0 nays.
Do we have a number of the diagram, or we just,
The diagram.
I mean, they should have a plan number, date or something.
Diagram
Yeah.
exhibit
You
1.
want me to give it? hold
Sure,
on.
I think we might need to just clarify that. I mean, I got a million
You
diagrams.
don't want me
we
to
can
get
stick
Cooper to draw something for you?
I just
Draw
think they
something
should
up
have
for you?
something on there, date something. While we doing that, I have a question. We have $100,000 allocated in capital for playground. Is any of that used for this, or this just comes out of the general capital? I mean, I think it comes out of general capital because we're banking on it being refunded,
It'll probably come out of unrestricted capital.
unrestricted.
Unrestricted capital.
What was that, Mayor?
It'll come out of unrestricted capital and be reimbursed.
Or maybe you can take 100 from the colonial and take the difference from the unrestricted. It's kind of.
I'm just trying to keep it clean. I don't know.
Yeah, how about just take it out to unrestricted capital for the moment?
Unrestricted capital.
We can use the 100 at the
I'm
end.
just trying to think ahead. Once we get reimbursed from FEMA, and it's a FEMA expense,
Right.
do we then need to do some kind of transfer so that expense is in the FEMA fund?
Yeah, let's keep
Or we
it
can
clean.
deal with that. So for now,
Keep it
we'll charge it
clean.
to the unrestricted in capital.
Keep it clean.
So would you like the, Councilman Chatterley, would you like the project number with the date on the,
I just think that would
Okay.
be a little bit cleaner.
sure. So the diagram is titled Project Number 20-22050,
20-22 what?
050.
20-22050, dated June 8th, 2022. Prepared by Myers Engineering,
So would we modify section 1 just to include that
sheet
in
number
there?
3. I'm sorry?
So you just have to say that this money is for that project, right?
Correct.
So
I
would
think,
you modify section 1 just to say it's hereby ordered the following line service orders for Recreation Department, capital expenses, comma, and then put that reference number?
we can
Man,
do
that's
that.
for the legal team.
We can do that. Is that your proposed amendment?
Yeah, but then, and I caught the reference number 2022-050.
Yes, sir.
And what is it? It's what preceded that in your description? It was a,
Dated June 8th, 2022, prepared by Myers Engineering, or Meyer Engineers, sorry.
You want that read into record, Mr. Town?
yeah, what I'd like to do is propose that we amend section 1 by adding after the words capital expenses, comma, for the purpose of performing the work in 2022-050, June 8th, 2022, plan or drawing of Myers Engineering.
Nope. Sheet number 3. Okay,
Second.
so we have a motion on the floor by
Second.
Councilman Buddy to amend ordinance 2022-8 as stated. We'll open for public hearing. No one comes to speak forth. We'll now close public hearing. All in favor?
Yay.
Yay.
5 yeas, 0 nays. Okay, now will anyone want to come speak forth on proposed ordinance number 2022-8 as amended? No
Move to
one-
adopt as amended.
No one coming forth. We have a motion by Councilman Asbill to adopt as amended. I'll have a
Second.
Second by
Second.
Councilman Johnson. All in favor?
Yay.
Yay.
5 yeas, 0 nays. Ordinance passes.
Proposed ordinance number 2022-9. The following ordinance was proposed by Councilman Asbill and seconded by Councilman
I'll take it.
Johnston. An ordinance amending ordinance number 1925, the annual budget of revenues and expenditures for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2022, by creating the fire sales tax fund and setting the budget for the fund.
Okay, we'll now open for public hearing. Anyone want to come speak on proposed ordinance 2022-9, please come forward. No one coming forward. We'll now close public hearing. Council discussion.
This ordinance, I'm sorry, who seconded that? I missed it.
Councilman Johnson?
Okay. This ordinance creates the, basically, mechanism for the fire sales tax to come into its separate fund so that it's tracked properly. Sets the initial budget at $350,000, which, again, was the projection for 5 months of revenue from that fund. I'm sorry, yep, 5 months of revenue from that fund. Collection expenses were set at $37,500, and that's how much the sheriff charges us to collect the sales tax. It transfers out, there's going to be an amendment, my number's wrong there. It's going to transfer out $306,900.
Say that number again?
$306,900. In fact, I'll just go ahead and make that amendment. We can discuss it in a second. But basically, that is the 350 minus the 3750 minus the 5600 gives you the 3069. So it transfers that out to the general fund to pay for the recommended budget amendments by the fire chief, and then transfers out $5,600 as an initial transfer to the capital fund for fire purposes. And that is for the amended 2022 budget. So this sets up the fund and sets the 2022 budget for that fund. So I'll move to amend line 37 to read set at $306,900.
We have a
Second.
motion on the floor for proposed ordinance number 2022-9 to amend line 37 to read $306,900. $306,900. We'll now open public hearing. No one coming to speak forth. We'll now close public hearing. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Johnson. All in favor?
Yay.
Yeah.
5 yeas, 0 nays. Ordinance is amended. Sir. Okay, we're gonna,
I've got no further discussion at this
okay.
time.
All right, Councilman Asbill, you gonna call for the vote?
No,
Oh,
uh,
I'm calculating something.
I work that thing, man. I guess while Councilman Chatelain is calculating something, I will say, I don't know if I've said it in the past, but if I have, oh well, I'll say it again. I just want to thank the citizens for going out and getting out and voting for this. 70% of the voters that went out and voted passed this sales tax, and that shows that they have confidence in their fire department and this council, and I appreciate that very much, and I can't express it enough. And it shows that the city wants better for themselves, so that they can have a better funded fire department.
The math's right. That's right.
This time.
All right, so now we'll.
Councilman Chatelain, my calculations are
Calculations
correct?
right this time.
Thank you.
So we have a motion on the floor by Councilman Asbill
Second.
on proposed ordinance number 2022-9 as amended, second by
Second.
Councilman Johnson. All in
wait,
favor?
we haven't had a discussion. I mean, this ordinance
You
goes
have more
hand,
discussion? Go ahead.
this ordinance goes hand in hand with 2022-10.
Yeah, this is just setting up the fund right here, so.
Yeah, but because they go hand in hand, I'm not comfortable at this point in time to vote for 2022 in the form that it's in. And if 2022-10 were amended in terms of allocation of monies between salaries, salary-related costs, equipment, and capital, it would require an amendment of 2022-9 passed in its current form. So, because of that, everybody needs to consider, if you vote for 2022-9, and 2022-10 doesn't pass in its current form, then we're gonna have to amend 2022-9.
So we've found ourselves in another chicken and egg situation here,
Yes, sir.
because the past 2022-10, you have to have 9. That creates the fund.
So I guess the question is, can you create a fund and then, so his concern is
I mean, look.
expenditures.
If
Pretty
you-
much you'd have
you-
to vote
you-
on this.
you-
If that doesn't go, then we have to come back and amend that at a later time.
That's right.
That's all.
Well, I mean, I guess we could come back and
Wait,
amend it.
my
certainly.
understanding is this is the projected funds that are collected.
Yeah, but this is
So we
saying,
have to create a line
yeah, this,
for them to go.
this decide how much is going to capital, $5,600. So, so you're committing here to 5,600 to capital, which is,
So that's the only thing you commit.
the rest is going to the general fund. Correct.
So the only thing you committing in this here is you're predicting you collected $350,000.
Right.
5,600 is gonna be dedicated to fire capital,
Right.
not general capital, fire capital only.
Yeah, it says to the capital fund, but I'm going to assume that the account
By
number.
law, it's gonna be fire, a separate capital line item for fire. So you could approve this, and then they can still amend this wherever the funds go. My understanding.
Yeah, we will require another amendment to the allocation of revenues, I would think.
My understanding, this is just setting up the revenue line item for it to come in. The 2010 would be the expenditures.
So
Outside of the 56 that's
I
being
understand what
transferred
he's
to
saying.
capital.
If this 56 wasn't here, you'd have the whole 350 coming in, which are expenditures to the sheriff's department, and then you'd have the whole amount here, you wouldn't be dedicating money straight to capital out of this yet. You'd do that in this next ordinance.
I mean,
Right.
this,
But you can always
this-
change on the next
this
ordinance where
does-
it goes to.
This does set the budget for that fund, and
Yeah.
to make a budget for that fund, you
Right.
have to show the transfer out.
Yeah, this is pulling in, this is the expenses, and you can change it
Correct.
wherever you
Change
want
the
on these
expenses.
lines, right.
In 2010.
A point of privilege for the finance
Yeah.
director.
No,
We're
I'm good.
talking about stuff we may know.
No, I'm good. No, this is good. No, I agree that this ordinance sets up the fund. My one observation I guess I just noticed is if this ordinance has a transfer out to the
Right.
capital fund, okay? So these transfers out need to equal whatever transfers in are in ordinance 10.
and I
So-
think Councilman Asbill amended that, well, no,
Yeah, so I've amended it in 9 and have an intention of amending the same
Yeah.
numbers in 10.
and I believe you have. I believe it adds up now, 309, 306,900.
Correct.
Yeah, it does.
Sit over here.
Like a pull-up over here.
Look, I've got no qualms of approving this, and then if y'all want to come, if y'all amend 2022-10 and you want to come back in amendments tonight, we'll do it tonight. We'll reconsider it just like we did the other one.
Todd,
Um,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
But I don't, but I think we have to have this to start on the next one, so.
Todd, can you spend a moment discussing the 350,000 gross estimate for sales tax? For the,
Sure.
will that money be collected, cash in hand?
Sure.
In
So-
2022?
Sure. So the estimate is based off a calendar year of 750,000, and that's the net cash receipts. And basically, we gross it up for the collection expense, because the sheriff's office takes that piece out before we
Right.
get the ACH.
Will the money be collected, the 5-month projection, will the money be collected?
We'll collect 4 months, so at 62.5 per month, 243,000, and then we'd have 1 month in receivables at December 31st,
And you-
just like we do on the regular sales tax.
And that's normally the collection process, so takes 60 days to get our money? No, we're
Yes.
getting
60 days. So
60
the-
days. So a sales tax report for a month, July, paid to the sheriff sometime in August,
Mid-August, August 20th.
okay? And then the
Wow.
sheriff turns that money around within 30 days?
September 14th, 15th, 13th, 16th, in that range is when we get
30
the
to 40.
So about a
ACH
60-day
deposit.
lag,
Correct.
okay? All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
So just to clear it, we are expecting to collect 5 months of sales tax to be applied to 2022.
4 months in
say 4?
cash, 1 month in receivables,
Correct.
5 total months in revenue,
Correct.
which is what's reflected here on a net
Yes.
basis.
Correct. Thank you.
And I guess, just to be clear, we don't collect 350,000, and we don't write a check to the sheriff's office of 37.5.
Okay.
Right.
We just get an estimate of 312,000, because the sheriff's office takes their fee off the top before we get our ACH.
Their fee's the same no matter what,
Yes.
It's a
Percentage.
Yeah, it's a
Percentage.
percentage.
Right.
It's a
no matter what.
percentage
Correct.
Of collection.
Correct,
right?
it's a percentage. It goes up and down as the sales tax collections go up and down.
So based on everything that we've looked at, this is a conservative estimate.
So the 750 is a conservative estimate. It is an estimate, certainly subject to the whim of the economy and ups and downs, but that's our conservative estimate, yes.
Right?
I'll second you.
Move to approve.
I have a motion on the floor by Councilman Asbill to approve proposed ordinance number 2022-9 as amended. Do I have a second? Second by
Second.
Councilman Chatterley, I'm sorry, all in favor?
Yay.
Yeah,
5 yeas, 0 nays. Ordinance is approved.
Proposed ordinance number.
Okay,
Proposed ordinance number 2022-10. The
Can we
following
take a
ord-
recess?
Thank you.
Move forward, 10-minute recess, or until call clears.
We're recessed.
Thank you, ma'am.
And we're going to allow Serge Villanova to come up and give his presentation.
Carrie, you able to put those up there if I turn it on? Those slides? I show you.
I did. We got it.
Oh, yeah, just come on here.
Or you want to explain that on camera? People
We had a quick recess. The fire chief and the fire department had to run out for 1 second.
You got another one on
So while he's handling that, we'll have Serge Villanova come up and do his presentation.
Search gonna be over there.
M&Ms. I emptied them all out. I sorted them by color.
Hey, look, I got it. Just hand me the. I'll tell you.
Man, you're killing me, man. Yeah, it's.
Oh yeah, Serge Villanova with Stranded South, a local musician, singer-songwriter, multi-instrumentalist, and owner of Stranded South Music and Media. And together with the city of Harahan, we did do successfully the second annual Harahan Music Festival and Food Drive this past month. Y'all were there. I really appreciate the growing participation from the residents of the community, as well as the city itself. I think we are really building a great positive event with this, and we'll have a little more information very quickly. But y'all were there. We had some rain, and I think that was a challenge that will end up being a good experience moving forward. Thank you very much to Councilman Chatelain, Uncle Matt's for giving us the opportunity to move everything inside, and we did so without losing maybe about 30 minutes off of our schedule. And the Victory Bells and Amanda Shaw were very gracious in working with us like professionals, and everyone involved really did such a great job, and it was a very fun time. Looking forward to the third year next May. Very much looking forward to that.
Might not be working. Just one slideshow?
It's multiple slides in one slideshow.
Kate thinks he was drafted to the coach. Good?
I apologize, that hasn't been working.
I said
Please don't. Thank you.
I think that somebody did.
I told her earlier. That's almost like a 911. Fire department dealing with it.
Connect this up. There you go.
I said the fire department dealing with it.
What I tap?
the arrow key.
Go ahead. Thank you.
Didn't do it.
Why not?
You gotta watch them, Greg.
Yeah, somehow we ended up graduating from flatbed trailers and makeshift PA systems to professional stage and professional sound team at Zerang Park, which is down the street in Hickory Avenue, right across from Bienvenue. You know, professional sound team like we got this year helps make the musicians sound better, and it decreases the troubling frequencies for residents who aren't so apt to have a music festival happening right in front of their yards. Andre Lovett came back this year to show us how he himself has developed in the past year. A New Orleans soul singer spends most of his time on Frenchman Street honing his craft. This year we had the addition of food vendors and craft vendors like Juan with Bubblicious from River Ridge, moving forward toward completing the more complete festival experience for the residents of Harahan. This is the Harahan Music Festival and Food Drive in its second year. The Victory Bells, it's so great to introduce great entertainers into the city of Harahan and vice versa, introduce the residents to them, give them a real treat with real professional trained musicians, and they sounded great. Amanda Shaw was also, Councilman Johnston, Amanda Shaw. We faced some really heavy rain. Andre Lovett's performance almost broke the clouds, and using the teamwork of the city, we all worked together, and we moved it over to Uncle Matt's, and we had Amanda Shaw play at Uncle Matt's, and she really put on a great set. Like I said, these are professionals, and they really showed that. And I think the city of Harahan really showed the kind of teamwork that perpetuates the city with this sort of problem solving, and that is certainly not a given at every municipality. Now, once again, not only is it great to introduce musicians and these entertainers to the city, but it is also wonderful to be given the opportunity from the city to create the stage to help musicians like Andre Lovett develop their voices and their talents and to share them. Here he is again with some adoring fans. Amanda Shaw with the Cute Guys. And you know, mine is a company, Stranded South. This is a festival that appreciates our partnerships with the local city departments, whose job it is to keep us safe. And we not only appreciate those partnerships, but a lot of times we find inspiration in them. My own grandfather was a detective in Dallas, Texas, after he served as a, paratrooper in World War II with 17 jumps into enemy territory under his belt. I actually wrote a song about my grandfather and my grandmother called Down to South Texas. Now you could listen to that now on YouTube or wait to hear it on my debut record, which is forthcoming, called The Rhythm of New Orleans. Let's get back to the presentation, please. This year we had Home Depot as a sponsor. They gave us about $600 worth of roofing materials to do a renovation for this Hurricane Ida battered shelter. Let's take a close-up of that roof or lack thereof. One more slide, please. Here we are with Gary and Dane getting those materials. Another slide, please. That is the finished product. And I think it looks great. The blue is consistent with other parks in the area, and the horses, traditional symbols of strength and immovability. Comparing our list of sponsors for 2022 to 2021, you'll see rapid growth, and it's a really wonderful thing to watch and to bring all these companies together. Camellia Brands gave us about 1,200 items of food. LA Waters gave us about 1,000 items of bottled water. This is a food drive for the St. Rita Food Pantry. Elmwood Business Association, a great network community that linked us up with a lot of people, including Louisiana Travel via Lieutenant Governor Nungesser's office. A little more on that later. In 2021, we raised 1,100 items and $600. In 2022, we almost tripled that. And one moment. You know, I wanted to start this presentation off with a personal invitation to everybody in the city, everybody who's on the fire department or the police department, as you were some of the original supporters of this festival. And I know in politics, nothing is really set in perpetuity. But if you are someone that wants to have a larger fingerprint in this for this festival, on this festival in 2023, I wanted to personally invite you to reach out to me at strandedsouthmusic@gmail.com. The Victory Bells performing at Uncle Matt's, and all of these sponsorships, I think we're developing a clever format. Some of them are used for operational expenses like Colonial Estates, American Men Roofing. Some of them are used for straight food donations like Camellia Brand and Blue Runner. As we saw, Home Depot added some aesthetic repairs to the city, so I want to build on that idea in 2023. Synergy, I think, is the word that Assistant Chief St. Cyr used last year to describe it. Now, here's the fun part. This doesn't come as a surprise to anyone in this room, but doing all this takes time and money. Next slide, please. Putting on a professional stage. We actually got that from Southern Eagle at a discount, which was awesome. And a lot of great things fell into place this year. And I thought a lot of great things really fell into place. Next slide. What will help that second number go down for me personally would simply be, and not that this is a surprise to anyone, more time from the city to set things up. More time in advance to get things set up like an actual event, because when you set these things up the month, 2 months, 3 months beforehand, even 3 months, there is a lot of hustling to do around to get it all set up. And a lot of the artist deposits are paid, need to be paid 6 months in advance. Sometimes the artists aren't even available if you don't get in touch with them a year in advance. Sometimes the backup contingency venues aren't available if you don't get in touch with them within a year in advance. We got a grant from Louisiana Travel this year. We just fought our way into their fiscal year, and they helped us out paying for the artists. But even grants like these, as you know, they take a long time in advance to apply for. But we did have an incredibly successful second annual Harahan Music Festival and Food Drive, raising over 3,000 items of food for the St. Rita Food Pantry. And in the third year, I would love to boast that we raised 10,000 items the first 3 years. Of course, we did 1,200 the first year. So 6,000 items, I think, will be the goal next year. We're also considering new aesthetic repairs to the city that could be helped with corporate sponsorships. Thank you, everybody, for listening. One more, and here is that new sign over at Zerang Park. And we'll just see how... And it's probably better that it just ends right there. Thank everybody very much for the assistance, and I really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, Madam Clerk, we'll go now return back to the agenda for proposed ordinance number 2022-10.
Proposed ordinance 2022-10. The following ordinance was proposed by Councilman Asbill and seconded by Councilman
I'll second.
Chatelain. An ordinance amending ordinance number 1925, the annual budget of revenues and expenditures for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2022 for the General Fund and Capital Project Fund of the City of Harahan, Louisiana, fire sales tax revenue.
Okay, we'll now open for public hearing. Anyone want to come speak on proposed ordinance number 2022-10? No one comes to speak forth. We'll now close public hearing. Council discussion.
So on this ordinance, actually goes ahead and expends those funds that are anticipated to come in, projected to come in from the sales tax revenue, line item by line on how it would change the current budget. So this is a 2022 budget amendment proposal. If the line item is not listed, obviously it's not changed. There are some increases, mostly increases, some decreases in expenses that, and some of these are actually not anticipated additional expenses. It's kind of catching up for what may have been under budgeted or over budgeted at the beginning of the year. So we're adjusting the budget on that level as well. Some things I do want to point out. You'll see lines 55 and line 58. Currently, the budget is set out that all of the salaries, including the fire department's scheduled overtime, is paid out of the salaries line item. That's been that could be a problem logistically in the future if, not saying any of these guys would do that, but if a firefighter came at some point and said, hey, look, I wasn't paid my scheduled overtime, we've got no way to prove that it was actually paid. So that salaries other line is actually, the line item in the system is actually going to be changed to scheduled overtime, so that it shows that we've actually paid scheduled overtime to those guys that's required by the Fair Labor Act. And that's also why the salaries line item itself is not increasing very much. A lot of the increase is adjusting and moving things to the scheduled overtime line item. And so basically you take those two line items together, and that's your real salary increase for 2022, for the second half of 2022. That salary increase includes adoption of a pay matrix to bring our department more in line with neighboring departments, still not very close, but more in line. I think, if I recall correctly, the average is still going to be under or around $11 an hour at starting. And so that's, to me, that's, everybody at City Hall is making more than that. Everybody at maintenance is making more than that. So it's still not enough. I don't know that we'll ever be able to pay these guys enough, but we're getting closer. And that also includes 4 new hires for the second half of the year. Other than that, and then all of those salary burdens as well to go with it: hospitalization, retirement matches, life insurance, Medicare, workers' comp, things like that. Some operational increases to highlight are fire prevention. Currently, right now, the fire department is not doing fire prevention just because there's no room in the budget for it. So this is going out, educating the public, doing pre-planning, and providing services, direct services to the public who's not calling 911. And you can expand on
Just to
that.
add to
Yeah,
that,
absolutely.
At some point in the near future, we're actually going to come to the council and ask you to adopt an ordinance adopting a fire prevention bureau that would give us the power to go out and do fire inspections and things of that nature to make our area a little bit safer.
Chief, just for the public to know, y'all do have pre-plans for all commercial buildings and stuff.
Correct.
Y'all have all of that in
Yes,
place already.
we
I
do
know
have-
that. I'm
no,
just
we
to
do
let the
have
public
plans.
know.
What this is going to allow us to do is do public education, as well as, get back into the school, do handouts and things of that nature, as well as get into the businesses. Because now currently, the fire marshal does not, on an annual basis, inspect commercial residences within the city of Harahan. So if there are fire code violations, we wouldn't know, because that's not what we're doing when we do pre-planning.
Right.
So, not that we have a bunch of issues, and not that businesses don't cooperate when we do see things and bring it up to them. We just need to have an official platform, an official adopted fire prevention bureau, which will also help us with our rating down there.
And I believe, just so the public will know, my property's in Jefferson Parish. The parish comes out, I believe it's once a year. It
Yes.
might be every other year, I'm not positive. They come out, check fire extinguishers, make sure your electrical panel's closed. If they see anything obvious, they tell you. They come back a month later, aggravate you again, come back a month later. So basically, you got to get it fixed.
So this budget and the budget for 2023 that I would be recommending to the council includes also bringing in a person that would directly also work in that area, doing inspections, helping with training. We would have 2 people in the fire prevention bureau, assisting and doing training. It's going to encompass more than just fire prevention. It's going to be fire prevention, training, safety,
School education.
public education, not just public education in fire prevention, but public education in first aid, CPR. We'll be doing classes open to the public for free, where they can come and get those type of things as well.
And then the other significant match outside, or increase outside of fire prevention, I want the chief to talk on it, outside of fire prevention and salary burdens is the small equipment. And this shouldn't come as a surprise, the fire department needs updated equipment. Can you just discuss what small equipment would encompass as well?
Small equipment will be those things that we've always had to kind of wait and do, even small capital expenditures in the past, you know, whether it be a nozzle or purchase foam, or
Chainsaw.
replace a couple of lengths of hose, or buy a chainsaw for storm season, or, you know, if a helmet gets torn up or a gear, you know, our gear is constantly subject to abuse and has to be replaced or repaired quite frequently. And this gives us the money to do that on an annual basis, and we should be able to stay on top of it. This does not include the major purchases that, you know, we would list out in capital expenditure.
And then finally, the last two line items there is sending some of the money there to the capital project fund this year. It is $5,600 next year. Since it's anticipated that, based on the current projections, again, that $194,000 would be transferred to capital. That would, and also an additional $54,000 as a kind of a quote-unquote down payment for a new ladder truck. And those are in the '23 budget. So, and the only changes I'm going to make, that I'm going to propose on this, are to fix that 312 number so that it all zeroes out at the end. And also, I know it was a little confusing, I guess, to have this revenue line item in the middle of the expense line items. So what I'd like to do is make a motion to amend line 32 to read increased by $306,900. And that brings it in line with the proposed ordinance 2022-9 that was passed.
Second.
Does everything balance at that point? in time?
Yes, sir. Yes, it still does.
So we have a motion on the floor to change line item number 32 to $306,900?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. We're now open for public hearing. Anyone wants to come speak on that amendment? No one coming forth will now close public hearing. All in favor?
Yay.
Yay.
5 yeas, 0 nays. Ordinance is amended.
I also move to amend the proposed ordinance by moving lines 85 to 86 directly after line 32. That just puts the two revenues together so that when you're running through the numbers to balance it out, it doesn't.
So you're combining 85 and 86? Or moving them
Moving
prior
eight-
to line 32?
Moving 85 and 86 to under line 32.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor by Councilman Asbill to move 85 and 86 directly under 32s.
Second.
Correct.
We'll now open for public hearing. No one coming to speak forth. We'll now close public hearing. We have a second by Councilman Johnson. All in favor?
Yay.
Yay.
5 yeas, 0 nays. Ordinance is amended.
I'm happy to take questions. I'm sure the fire chief is happy to take questions. I'm sure any of the firefighters are also happy to take questions if you have any. If there's no discussion, I'll move for a vote.
We got discussion.
Okay. I didn't hear it coming, so I jumped on the opportunity to move it.
All right, I'm just gonna let the viewing public know. We've been working on this for months. I received a lot of this information Monday evening, Tuesday morning. Not blaming anyone. I got a phone call, told me a lot of this information was available the week before. I was out of town. I'm going through numbers. I look at some of the paperwork that I was given. I don't know if the health insurance matches up. I don't know how accurate this stuff is. I'm not going to be prepared to vote for this tonight. I think there's a few numbers that need to shift. I think some of them are going to be positive for the department. We have health insurance for everybody the same rate. I think that's going to change a lot more than a little. So I'm gonna be working on this. I'm prepared to do what they want to call for a vote. I'll be prepared to vote. But I think we need to narrow some of this stuff up. It's already set in place. It's gonna happen. This money's here. It's allocated for the fire department. We just need to make sure it's put in the right line items to make sure we're covering ourselves till the end. I mean, this isn't something that's here short term. I mean, when we set this in place, it's in place.
Should I respond to that or wait until the end?
Go ahead.
We've gone through this pretty close. There may need to be a little adjustment, possibly with health insurance. I don't think so. I think it should be pretty close in line. I don't think there would be any major adjustment. I think anything that could be amended later. I don't think that we're gonna be searching for money at any point to be able to get things done and live within our budget. I think adoption tonight allows us to move forward with the pay matrix that these guys have been waiting for and have been on a roller coaster for the last 3.5 years waiting for. I've asked for quite some time for some help in that area, and this is it. We went to the people, we asked them the projections or that the money is gonna be there to do it. Talking with the sheriff's office, it looks like they're not gonna have any issues. I don't anticipate any issues on collection. We feel that this estimate is conservative. The money's there. We need to start paying these guys now, and which includes myself. You know, they've been waiting a long time. They've gone years and years and years without. This council and this mayor did approve 2 years ago a 10% increase, and they do appreciate that, but we knew at that time that that was just a minor patch on what needed to be done. I think our pay matrix is fair from the top to the bottom, from the bottom to the top. I think it compares well. There was a specific balance that we felt that we had to have between funding both the department side of things and the men. This gives us what we need to move forward to hire new employees, to get new people on the fire trucks to respond to our calls, as well as helps greatly with morale within the department. We've put them off over and over and over. They've been this close a number of times. And every time we get that close, it seems that the door shuts in their face, and I don't want tonight to be another one of those nights. Thank you.
So I have received a lot of information beginning Monday at 10 a.m. I received some supplemental information from the chief on Tuesday. I have not got my arms around all of this. It's a lot of information. And I'm not prepared to vote yay. I will get there. I will get there on an ordinance providing raises and allocating money to equipment and capital. But unfortunately, I haven't had an opportunity to get my arms around it. So I'm not gonna be in a position to vote favorably tonight. I'd request a deferral. And I would also propose that we have a special meeting to address this. It's important. But I'm just unfortunately not prepared. It's just too much information for me to get my arms around in 3 days.
I get that, and look, not to point fingers at anyone, including myself, but this ordinance was put on the agenda and read for first reading at last month's council meeting. I think Councilman Asbill reached out to everyone several weeks ago. If we're just doing this week, this is the first time
Chief,
I was contacted.
Chief,
about
I've
this.
asked you for this information for over 3 months.
And I've asked you to get with me. and
No,
come sit
sir.
down with me
No, sir.
anytime,
No, sir, you held this information close to the vest. It was distributed to me on Monday.
When you asked for.
And let me
when you
say
asked
this,
for
when
it,
Councilman
we got it.
Asbill reached out to
We
me,
could have done that a month ago.
well, we certainly could have. But I asked to see it 2 months ago and 3 months ago, and you had the information. I don't know why I didn't see it.
I've been working on the budget all the way up until the end of last month, and we didn't know.
All right, sir.
what we were at.
Okay.
Oh, I believe you were.
I
I
don't
believe you were
dispute
working
that.
on this till the last
I don't
minute.
dispute that, but I got the
That last time
information.
It wasn't this week.
I got a text on June 6th that said, hey, I have some stuff waiting to hear from y'all from Councilman Asbill. I was busy. I was out of town. I just got this Tuesday. some of this paperwork. I'm not pointing fingers at anybody. The money's there, the raises are coming, everything's coming. We just need to get it finalized. It's not something we can put our hands around in, like he said, 3-4 days. I mean, it's not something that's gonna happen. I think everybody would be much happier if we call for a special meeting, we sit down, we go over this, we amend it, and then we pull it to a vote. I mean, that's where I stand at this point. I'm not trying to hurt anybody.
You're a councilman and you have a vote, and you have to do that.
Yeah.
I got you.
And I'm very confident this is gonna get worked out within the next 45 days, 30 days. The only reason I'm saying 45 days is when we amend this, I don't know how we need to re-advertise it. I don't know that answer. I'm fine if Councilman Buddy wants to call a special meeting, we come in here and it'd be a meeting to budget just to amend this ordinance. I'm fine with that. I'm not fine voting to approve this at a special meeting though. That's one thing we've always said, we're gonna try not to do budget unless it's a situation where you have no choice.
So this proposal would also change greatly in allocation if it's put off any beyond tonight. You can't do raises retroactive, therefore that money wouldn't be able to go. It would change salaries, it would change the people when we hire them and what we would, I mean, we can't hire people starting soon. It would have to wait until after.
So it'd push it back 30 days?
30.
I mean, I'm asking a question.
It would change all.
Change the numbers. I understand.
Depends if it comes up vote for night. If it comes up vote for night and it's voted down, it's gonna take 2 months. Because you gotta come back a first reading and then you gotta have to do it again.
That's correct. That was my point.
That's why I'd rather make the movement to move it forward quicker, call a special meeting, let's amend it. The only thing I don't know, and that's on the legal side, is if we amend this too much, do we have to re-advertise it? How long that takes, you know? It's gonna be shorter than getting turned down.
Listen, I was, want to say something. Been working on this longer for a few months. Been working on this for 3.5 years. On my end. All of the information you have has been available, and I'll take some ownership for it. Nobody wants to blame anybody. I'll take some ownership for it. All of the information that you have has been available since, well, most of the information you have has been available since mid-May when we sat down with the finance director and went over the numbers. The mayor's had all of the information since mid-May. June 6th, I invited everybody to come out and talk, and I'll be honest with you, until this week, there didn't seem to be a whole lot of interest in doing that. And that's okay, I get it, everybody's busy. So was I was hoping to get it done before this week. So I'm not in favor of deferring this. I'm ready to move forward on it as is. I would hope we can sit here, we gotta sit here and hash out the numbers tonight. If you got amendments in mind, let's propose them tonight and get them done, so that these people can move forward. I don't see what 2 weeks to get comfortable with it is gonna do, because it's a pretty straightforward budget amendment as far as I'm concerned. The money's been projected. The fire chief, as the subject matter expert, has recommended a budget for the department. I don't know anything about running a fire department, and I don't think anybody up here does, to be honest with you. So for him to make a recommendation on how to run his department, I'm ready to move forward on the finance director's recommendation and the subject matter expert in the fire department's recommendation.
The reason I would ask for the deferral would be is so we could get answers on this insurance and stuff. I don't think anybody here is gonna have these answers.
But I think we can amend that at a later time, Councilman. If it's anything, it's not gonna be much. It would be a minor adjustment. We're not gonna be that far off.
And I will say that you won't, you won't be over. If anything, you may be, this may be over budgeting, because,
I can tell you.
for
also-
example, I'm sorry, Chief, to cut you off, but for example, you've got 4 guys in here estimated to work 6 months. Well, 2 of them are only actually gonna be hired 4 months if this is passed. So you have 2 months of leeway there in the salary, Now, if you have specific salary matrix concerns, we can talk about that too. We have that information to do that. I would prefer get it done here tonight at the public meeting when everybody's here. It was advertised properly. Let's get it done tonight and move forward from there.
So one of the questions I have is, my understanding is if you change the substance of an ordinance over a certain percentage, if it was advertised this way, but we make all these changes, because I think the bulk of it starts with salaries and then the FICA and the this, and this. There's 17 lines that are being proposed amended. 11 of them could potentially be changed. That's more than 50% of the substance of this ordinance.
But it's not changing the subject matter of the
But,
ordinance.
well, I get that, but you see what I'm getting at is we advertise this, but we're
I don't think it matters if you change the number. I think it has to be subject.
I've done a budget before where I changed most of the
I
items.
kind of remember if it was a certain percentage, just to. No, I get it. I just think for the public, it's there, advertise this, but then there's a bunch of changes and it could, that's all. But
You have to, if you can.
No, that's what I'm asking you. Look, I'll be very honest. When I had my conversation with Todd T. and the mayor and Jason Asbill, my concern, of course, is this sales tax is generated on the money that people in the city have to spend. So in order for us to pay you, and I know it's all projections, I get it, the people of the city of Harahan, or whoever shops in Harahan, have to spend money so we can get that money to fund this department. My biggest concern, and I said this, was economics is changing. And if it affects it, and we allocate this money, and all of a sudden at the end of 2022, we don't have 312.5. We have something. So I don't want to see anybody lose their jobs. I've made that very clear. But something would have to give. I proposed, I don't think it's going to go over well, but I'll tell you what I said. I said, why don't we start at something smaller, maybe about 25%, and we reevaluate it in 60 days. I don't know if that information got back to y'all, because honestly, I feel this, well, I'm gonna speak for myself. The only communication that we have with the department for me is through Jason. All this information, I will say, I just got it this week too. So honestly, everybody's at fault. Everybody is at fault. Nobody up here is singling it out, nobody down there is singling it out. Everybody's at fault. If this stuff was presented to in May, it should have been given to this council in May, and it wasn't. That was prior to this ordinance even going up for first reading. So with all due respect, I mean, we just got it, but so that's my concern. I would like to see a couple of months of sales tax revenue come in. I'm sure it's there, but they're only projections. So that was I suggested that. I don't think it seemed to me it's an all or none. So I just wanted to be honest with everybody in the conversations I had.
I appreciate the councilwoman's concerns. I'll say that I don't think it's good. We talked about precedent early. I don't think it's good precedent to start reevaluating salaries every 60, 90 days, because then it puts a burden on you to do that and to make sure it gets done. And if we operated on, and I'm not belittling your comments, but if we operated on what ifs, in 2019, we would have what ifed COVID, right, in 2020, and we wouldn't have been over budget there. So it could come that maybe the sales tax collects zero. Then we got to figure it out.
It's all in
Right.
projections. We have a budget in there right now that we might have to go back if.
We're basing our
changes are.
budget amendment on,
I make very clear, I respect everybody's decision, but I
Yeah.
just wanted to make clear on what my thoughts on it were.
yeah.
And if that doesn't set well with people, I respect people's decision on that too, but I'm just very concerned.
I get it.
And nobody sitting up here is ever gonna sit there and say y'all are not worthy of anything. And I know there might be some conversations that y'all think that, I would hope that y'all don't, and I don't think y'all do. I would hope not. That's my only concern. So if it's moving forward the way it is now, I don't know if I can vote for it in its state that it is in now. And again, my question was the substance of it is if we start modifying with salaries, then it modifies the overtime, then it modifies the longevity. It's a bunch of lines. Am I correct, Todd?
In which,
Yeah.
I presume, yes, one change
retirement.
may have a domino impact on
I think
other
it
line
would.
items.
Yeah,
And the
absolutely.
reality
It
is,
absolutely would.
there has been very little transparency on the salary increases. So, I mean, I've been giving a schedule and some revisions, which I haven't had the opportunity yet to scrub. But this is not an open, transparent process. Again, with a little bit of time, this gets done with probably a 5-0 vote. It's gonna happen. The question is, can any of the councilmen, or all of the councilmen, or a quorum, majority, in a position to vote, do we understand this and the ramifications tonight? And without considering any cause or anything, the fact of the matter is, possibly all of us saw this beginning on Monday. Sorry, four of the councilmen got this information on Monday. And it could have been presented much earlier. And that's a fact. Why we didn't see it before Monday, if it's my fault, it's my fault. But I'm not ready to vote on it tonight. And if we vote on it tonight, it puts me in a position of voting no. I don't want to vote no. So, Councilman Asbill, I'd ask you to allow us to hold a special meeting on this issue and get to a point where we all agree, which can happen quickly, because I believe everybody's committed to putting in the work to getting a complete understanding in relatively short order, not say 2 weeks.
The end of the story is we have no choice. This money's allocated for the fire department. It's going to the fire department. We don't pick the pay raises. We don't pick any of that. All we're gonna do is itemize line items and make sure the money's in them line items. Besides that, it goes to the mayor.
For me, I'm ready to vote on it tonight, but, I mean, I'd rather, push comes to shove, I'd rather defer it if we're not gonna vote on it tonight, because we
I
had
don't
to
wanna
wait.
delay it
We
3
had to wait
months.
2 more months, so, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I'm ready to vote on it tonight, but I hate for it to be voted down, and then we have to wait a whole bunch of time to bring it back up.
I'll make a motion to call for deferral,
A second.
predicated on special meeting 2 weeks.
Move for a 10-minute recess.
We have a motion on the floor by Councilman Asbill to move for a 10-minute recess. 10-minute recess.
I move. I second.
I'm ready.
All right, 8:58, we're calling a meeting back to order. We went to some council discussion.
I did. What's that? If you want to, the discussion at the end was the proposal was to call a special meeting, soon, hopefully. And look, it's in an effort to not drastically change all of these line items, I would hope that we can get this done before July 8th. So we call it special meeting before July 4th. I'd like to vote on it at that meeting. And the reason behind that is July 8th is the next, and be very frank, July 8th, the next pay date, okay? I'd like to have it set for the next pay date on July 8th. And if we did it by the 4th, that would give the HR enough time to make the changes in their, whatever software they have to do that. And so I'm open to a special meeting so long as it's done within the next week and a half, it seems like.
Merely a week, just a week.
It's just really just a week, maybe a week and a couple days before it's a holiday. Is
And-
anybody out of town on the 4th?
No.
No, but
think-
I'm, so when are you
And-
proposing the special meeting? I mean, what would be a date? Because I'm okay with voting on special meetings, well, I'm sorry. Councilman Chatelain would prefer not to vote on a budget amendment at a special meeting.
But I'm only one.
Well,
I'm not crazy about it either.
yeah, I'm not crazy about it either. The distinction is we're pushing it out to the next regular council meeting, which is 3 weeks from now.
Correct. You wanna call it a recess?
So,
Go ahead.
I'm,
I'm sorry, can I have a 5-minute recess, please?
Jesus.
Yes.
Sure.
second.
Second. Yay.
Okay, 9:13, we're calling a meeting back to order. Okay,
I'd like to move to amend the agenda to add new business number, somebody tell me. What's the new business number? New business number 3, calling for a special meeting for the purpose of considering proposed ordinance 2022-10.
yeah, we give them, give them.
Do we have to set the special meeting first and call the date? So maybe we can set the date for the special meeting,
I'm sorry,
for this ordinance to be taken up.
just,
Set it on the agenda.
just so it's clear, I want to, I would withdraw that motion. Move to defer proposed ordinance 2022-10 until after new business number 3.
We need to call for the date.
Till after what, sir?
After new business number 3. I'm just moving this
So we
further.
already have a motion on the
So
floor to defer this.
Why don't we just take up new business number 3 before this?
We're going to.
I'm gonna interrupt. We have a motion on the floor to defer this ordinance already.
Bye.
Me,
Can you withdraw that motion?
I'll withdraw that motion.
Thank you.
I'm just trying to keep you in order. I mean, I don't want nobody to come back and say.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor by Councilman Asbill to set a special meeting.
Nope.
No.
I'm sorry. Let me restate the motion. I move to defer proposed ordinance 2022-10 after new business.
Do you just table it, huh? Table.
Just moving it.
No, I'm not tabling.
No,
it.
he's not tabling it,
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Just move it, okay, yeah.
moving.
'Cause you're
Move
not
to amend
deferring.
the, I'm sorry, move to amend the agenda to consider proposed ordinance 2022-10 after new business number 3 to be added.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor, we'll now for public hearing to amend the
Y'all lose
agenda to move proposed ordinance 2022 after new business number 3, is that
Yes.
correct? Okay, no one comes before, we'll now close the agenda. We have a motion on the floor by Councilman Asbill, we have a second by Councilman Johnson, all in favor?
Yay.
Yay.
5 yeas, 0 nays. Agenda's amended.
Move to amend the agenda to add new business number 3, calling for a special meeting on July 1st, 2022, at a time to be determined, and
Isn't that the Kenner thing on July 1st?
July, during the day.
Oh, my bad.
During the day, yeah.
July 1st, 2022, at a time to be determined by the council, and having the council waive notice of said meeting.
Would you not have to set that time now? Hey, would you-
Second.
July 1st,
Would you not have
2022,
to-
what
To
time?
properly advertise,
Let's-
would you
let's
not have
talk
to
about
set
it.
that time?
Oh, he wants to talk the time, discuss the time now.
Okay,
Yeah, we're gonna discuss time.
all right.
Yeah.
I would prefer we had more time.
Mr. Tom, I'll make myself available 24/7 in the next week to get it done.
I know that, and I appreciate it, and I'm sure everybody will. I think I may need more time. If we go with this schedule, I'll do my best.
Okay.
I don't have, I mean, no one has, a completely open schedule. And I'm at a point in my life where it's difficult for me to do what I've done in the last few days, and I did not finish it. And I feel bad about that, but I haven't even gone through the schedules that the fire chief so graciously sent me on Tuesday afternoon. So I would like more time. But that's just my comments, and we can certainly vote on your date, sir.
That's my motion, and I'd
Second.
ask for the meeting at 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock on July 1st?
Yeah,
I'll second it.
It's a Monday night, maybe.
No, July 1st is.
July 1st is a Friday.
Friday.
I don't care.
We don't need Scott.
Can we do July 30th?
June 30th?
I mean, June 30th
June 30th.
for
I
Thursday?
can't do 30. Son's got a surgery procedure.
How many days we need for notice?
24 hours. Yeah.
Right.
But you'll be here the 1st.
Can we go to 29? I mean, I know it's pushing less time. I mean, I just,
You want it earlier on the 1st?
I mean, my deal is we got people gonna be out of town on the 1st. It's kind of hard.
We can
I
make
mean,
it earlier
I'll
on the
be here.
1st.
I'll be here.
We can make it earlier on the 1st.
What time can you get it right on the first?
Whatever time y'all need me.
Well, you at work.
10
Yeah, I
a.m.,
can
noon.
Yeah, whatever
one-
time y'all
one
need
p.m.
me.
we
No,
got
Kenner's Day
Kenner's
is
Day.
on the first.
I mean,
That's at 10 o'clock.
if I gotta skip that, I gotta skip that.
That's right, yeah.
This is
I'm
my
not working,
priority.
Kenner.
This is my priority.
Huh?
Huh? No. It's not enough time for each one.
July 1st, 6 o'clock, I'm in. It just looks bad that we're doing it the Friday before holiday weekend in case people, that's
Yeah.
why
Okay.
I'd rather go to 30th. I mean, I don't know.
I'll amend my motion to July 29th, or June 29th, I'm sorry, at 6 p.m. She can do that. You send her the notice. Ju-
I'm fine on the 5th. Is everybody available on the 5th?
I'm gonna be here. I'm free anytime, any day.
I'm sorry, what was the
I would,
question?
I would prefer not the
The
5th.
5th, are you available on the 5th?
5th of
July?
July? I am.
Okay, I'll move that on the 5th, July 5th, 6 p.m.
July
Anytime you
5th,
want.
6 p.m.
I'll second it.
What time, sir?
Call for the vote, 6 p.m. Call for the vote on the special
Works-
meeting.
Works for me.
No, I don't.
Okay, so a motion on the floor.
Now, we have court,
I'll restate the motion.
we have court scheduled, I believe,
We'll move
that
court.
day. Is that, this is an old.
We'll
this
send
is an old
everybody
note.
continuances.
Can you check the calendar?
This is an old note, but I put in years ago. I assume
Yeah, it's what, the first and third or something?
it's,
Six
it's
falls on what?
Here we go.
first Tuesday of the month.
Here we go. Here's my motion. I move to call a special meeting on July 5th, 2022 at 6 p.m. at the Harahan Senior Center.
No, we can't do that. We've done that once before, and we got in trouble for that, remember?
Did we?
Yeah.
Because it's not a normal meeting.
Yeah, we got in trouble for that.
As long as you advertise the meeting place, though.
We got our hand slapped for it.
Being special is special.
Okay, you mind me, my wife will get away with it?
I would think it'd be
We had a regular meeting out of here. Can't do a special.
Yeah, we got in trouble, remember?
I'm not doing
No,
six.
I don't.
I'm not
Yeah,
going
we
later.
got in trouble for that.
I didn't know that.
I ain't said nothing, that's why.
Just one day?
I don't want to do it. I want to call the vote tonight.
Now I know.
What's July 6th?
Move to amend, move to amend my motion for like the 6th time. All right, here we go. My
Wait.
motion,
What, is traffic court?
19th.
Oh, well, then it's not a problem.
perfect, July 5th, 6 p.m. City Council Chambers.
All right.
So
Okay,
July 5th, 6 p.m.
Well, don't come. Get your amendments in before the meeting, I guess, if you're not going to be here.
We good.
All right, we got a motion on the floor.
Second.
Second by Councilman Chatterling. We'll open for public hearing. You want to speak on new business adding in July 5th, 6 p.m. on the new business. No one coming forth. We'll now close public hearing. All in favor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yay.
5 yeas, 0 nays. Amended, agenda is amended. And meeting
No,
is
now,
set.
now we need to vote on the amendment. You just
Okay.
closed the public hearing,
All right.
correct now?
So now we'll vote on,
That was new business.
So
that was just voting on adding it to new
That was
business.
just adding it to the new
I'm
business.
sorry, thank you.
Got it.
we've added it to the agenda. I move to take up new business number 3 at this time.
Second.
Second.
Move to open the public hearing.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor by Councilman Asbill to move open for public hearing. New business number 3, you say?
New
That's
business
correct.
number 3.
Okay, no one comes before, we'll now close public hearing. Councilman Asbill.
The motion is to call for a special meeting on July 5th, 2022 at the Harahan City Council Chambers for 6 p.m. and that the council members waive notice of said meeting. To discuss proposed ordinance 2022-10 and 2022-9.
Second.
We now open for public hearing for,
Okay, a question. I believe I heard you correctly. My hearing
What are we
was bad.
discussing on 10?
Yeah.
We already passed that.
10 is,
Nine.
10 is the one.
9, why are we?
I'm sorry, 9. We passed that.
I'm putting it on there in case you have amendments to this.
We're gonna
Thank
amend
you.
that.
You need it, you have to
Thank
have it
you.
on the agenda.
So
Okay.
July 5, 6 p.m.
Correct.
okay, no one
Thank you.
coming to speak forward on Councilman Asbill's motion.
Move the vote.
We'll now close public hearing. Motion by Councilman Asbill, second by
Second.
Councilman Buddy, all in favor?
Yay.
Yeah.
5 yeas, 0 nays.
Move to take up proposed ordinance 2022-10 at this time.
Second. 2022-10 at this time. We have a motion on the floor by Councilman Asbill to move to take up 2022-10. We're now for public hearing, and no one's coming to speak forth. We'll now close public hearing. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second, who was that? Second by Councilman Johnson. Will now, all in favor?
Yay.
5 yeas, 0 nays.
Yep, just to take it up at this time.
Just take it up.
Go
Move
ahead.
move to defer proposed ordinance 2022-10 to the special meeting on July 5th,
I have a
2022.
motion on the floor by Councilman Asbill to defer 2022-10 to July 5th at 6 PM. We're now open for public hearing. No one coming to speak forth. We'll now close public hearing. Can I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Johnson. All in favor?
Yay.
5 yeas, 0 nays. Madam
Thank
Clerk,
you.
Guys, I appreciate your work.
2022-11.
Can I just make a little, can we please, if there's any additional spreadsheets, or if there's any additional information that we may not have received, can we make sure that we get those, or let's try to get together, so we don't have any issues come July 5th?
I don't know exactly what you received,
Okay.
but I'd be happy to
Sit down.
provide you with anything that you need.
All right, well, maybe
And I
check your
would
calendar and you
suggest
can get
that
with-
even if that's one at a time, come and spend an
One at
hour
a time,
with me
two
in
at a
the office.
time?
2 at a time, come and spend an hour with me in the office. I have everything with the computer. I can generate or manipulate, change numbers, do whatever you need to do, and show you how it just generates what information you need. So I'd be happy to.
That is a
do
standing invitation from when this meeting adjourns, I would assume, Chief, when this meeting adjourns until July 5th.
Let's do it.
Okay, Madam Clerk, proposed ordinance number 2022-11.
Proposed ordinance number 2022-11. The following ordinance was proposed by Councilman Chatelain and seconded by Councilman
I'll take it.
Wheeler. An ordinance to transfer $107,951.92 from Capital Project Fund to the General Operating Fund for the purchase of a John Deere backhoe.
Okay, we're now open for public hearing. Anyone who wants to speak forth on ordinance number 2022-11, please come forward. No one coming forward. We'll now close public hearing. Council discussion.
Wait, she might be coming forward.
Please not coming forward. Council discussion.
Yep. It looks like we've got an invoice that's been paid for this, already, is that right?
Right.
That's correct.
Yeah, we
And
already
it was
received it.
paid out of the general fund?
That is
Yep,
correct.
seems like. Okay.
Is this something we're gonna use, I mean, we need it, we use on a daily basis?
We absolutely need it.
Because I know in certain instances, but I didn't know if this over renting is, you know, I don't know what.
We absolutely need it.
Okay.
You know, in the past, we've rented a bypass pump and spent 119. I bought a bypass pump, cost 93. We used it for 115 hours. I would think that the same thing would go here, and especially not having one on hand while in the storm, you know.
Right.
We got hit hard in Ida. This item was actually ordered during Ida. It came in way late, so we wasn't able to get it under the FEMA claim. But it is, in my mind, it is 1,000,000% necessary to have. It's better to have it not need it than need it not have it. And that's kind of like, you know, that's my thoughts on it, and
So I don't.
try to get ahead of the game.
I don't doubt that it was needed, but again, it was purchased with general fund money, and there was no capital, just reminding the council, there was no capital expenditure for this, but it was bought, and now it's been asked to reimburse from capital, and this is the second time this has happened, and I said, when it happened the first time with the bypass pump that the mayor mentioned, that I can't do that. I don't think we should encourage spending capital money, which requires council approval, before the council approves it.
Okay, this was spending money out of the general and not capital, and it was under an emergency situation. Both bypass pump and this backhoe, when these purchases were authorized by myself. It was under emergency declaration.
So we have a
But
backhoe.
there's a procedure, look, there's a procedure for emergency ordinances. And I don't recall that happening and going through that. I'm just telling you, for this mayor, future mayors, I don't think the council should get into the habit of approving, basically backdating, capital expenditures after they're paid out. This is a true capital expenditure at $107,000 for a major piece of equipment. I don't doubt it's needed. I know it's needed. I saw the other one. I saw the way the other one was operated, and I'm happy I'm happy that it was bought, but to me, I think it's gotta stay in the
So-
general fund budget.
I think we all agree that this thing was ordered in an emergency process.
I don't think it,
It did not come in on time.
before the storm. The invoice shows a date of 8/27, which was before the storm.
I'd have to look into that.
Yeah, me too, myself. Me as well.
We had an opportunity to turn this machine down when it came in.
Yeah.
It would have cost us an extra $54,000 if we wanted to order another one.
Well, this isn't an invoice quote, it's a quote.
Oh, yeah,
Okay, well, quote before the storm.
Oh, we were definitely pricing them before the storm.
Yeah.
Oh, we were definitely pricing them before the
Isn't that the
storm.
responsible procedure to start pricing equipment before the storm? and
Well,
be prepared when
we
you're ready
needed
to
it
go?
before the storm because the one we have is in bad shape.
No, there's no doubt it's,
So,
that-
yeah,
that-
we were pricing this before the storm.
well, good.
So that's a quote price.
That's awesome. But
So-
also the responsible procedure, when you have a capital expenditure, is to come to the council and request it like every other department has. And look, this is, I guess it was paid out of 1110, is that general government? So that's, look, that's, Mayor, that's a department, just like every other department.
Well, we'll just agree to disagree, and we'll move on. Vote as you will. We'll call for the vote.
Well, I'd like to
Oh, go
comment. I agree with, to a large degree with what Councilman Asbill said. But we bought it, it is a capital item, and I'm prepared to reluctantly vote to move the money. And Mayor, I'd ask you to make a commitment going forward to honor the system, and if you need to make a purchase, let's do it properly, and I appreciate your commitment to operate within the rules that you're licensed to operate under. And we can, and would be very willing, if an emergency meeting is necessary. You saw your counsel there when you needed them. So I'm prepared to vote in favor of the ordinance, but I'd like to hear you just say you commit to operating with more communications and proper authority going forward.
Doing it, and just in case if you guys choose to not hang on to this piece of equipment, Doggett is prepared to give us $20,000 of what we paid for it to load it back up on a trailer and move it away. But when the hurricane comes and order to be, I mean, when we got through this storm and I had to make decisions that I'd like to remind this council that we were first up with power, first up with sewer, first up with everything that we had in the whole area, and it was because I had to make some hard decisions at some hard time. I fully stand behind the decision, duly noted on your request. I'll make sure that I'll do better, but I
Thank you.
stand behind this decision wholeheartedly.
Thank you. I'm not questioning the decision to acquire it. I'm just questioning if we can do a better job, because we can agree to that rather quickly. We can help you do it in full compliance. I
Absolutely.
think that would have occurred had we taken the time to,
Yeah, I mean, just
to do that.
for reference again, I'll defend myself on the bypass pump. Like I said, prior administration rented one, 119, I paid 93. We've used it for 150 hours. That bypass pump has paid for itself 5 times over.
No
So if I'm
question
gonna
about
be,
the logic.
reprimanded over making a purchase that isn't a benefit of the city of Harahan, I'm gonna defend myself.
I don't think anybody's reprimanding.
No, nobody's
I think,
reprimanding.
Certainly sounds like that, Councilman Asbill.
well, okay, well, listen.
Make a motion to
Like I
call for
said,
the vote.
we'll agree to disagree. Call for the vote. All right, we have a motion by Councilman Asbill.
Councilman
second by-
Chatelain.
I mean, Councilman Chatelain, second by?
second?
Second by Councilman Buddy. All in favor?
Nay.
4 yeas.
Nay.
1 nay. Ordinance passes. Thank you, Council.
Ordinances for introduction. The following ordinance was proposed by Councilman Asbill, proposed ordinance number 2022-12, an ordinance approving the final re-subdivision plat of Lot A-2C, Stoniat or Chapatulas Plantation Subdivision, City of Harahan, Parish of Jefferson, State of Louisiana into Lot A-2C-1, Stoniat or Chapatulas Plantation Subdivision, and lots 14 through 23 Colonial Place, Phase 1, all pursuant to a plan made by Ronald Clement, PLS, dated June 1st, 2022. The following ordinance was proposed by Councilman Asbill, proposed ordinance number 2022-13, an ordinance approving the final re-subdivision plat of Lot A-2C-1, Soniat or Tchoupitoulas Plantation Subdivision, City of Harahan, Parish of Jefferson, State of Louisiana, into Lot A-2C-1A, Soniat or Tchoupitoulas Plantation Subdivision, and lots 24 through 27, Colonial Place, Phase 1, all pursuant to a plan made by Ronald Clement, PLS, dated June 1st, 2022. The following ordinance was proposed by Councilman Asbill, proposed ordinance number 2022-14, an ordinance confirming the proper form of an ordinance adopted on May 19th, 2022, with respect to the levy of the sales and use tax authorized at a special election held in the city of Harahan on March 26th, 2022. The following ordinance was proposed by Councilman Asbill, ordinance number 2022-15, an ordinance amending ordinance number 1925, the annual budget of revenues and expenditures for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2022 for the Capital Project Fund of the City of Harahan, Louisiana for the Police Department. Old business. Old business number 1, Board of Adjustment, dismissal and appointments.
Anyone have any appointments to the Board of Adjustments and Appeals?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay, so I'll ask the council to defer old business number 1.
Motion defer.
Motion by Councilman Johnson, second by Councilman Buddy to defer old business number 1. All in favor?
Yay.
5 yeas, 0 nays. We'll move it up to the next meeting. Madam Clerk?
We already did new business number 1, so new business number 2, 2022 through, okay, so new business number 1, Todd Turnion, Finance Director, monthly financials with budget to actual comparisons.
Sure, just a few additional thoughts from the finance team. Over the last couple of weeks and months, really, we've been working with the external auditors. So just to give the council and the mayor an update that process is substantially complete. We had an exit meeting with the mayor and the auditors yesterday here in City Hall, and it was a positive audit. They will report to you at the August meeting, consistent with what we've done in the past. But we're on track to issue the report on time by the June 30th deadline, as required by the legislative auditor. And then just a few financial items. Sales tax can continue to come in strong. So that's great for the city, and then hopefully for the for the subsequent fire tax as well. We did make the second to last payment on the outstanding bonds that the city has. So we made that payment either late May or early June. So the one payment that's scheduled to make next year, we will use the reserve fund. So we have $250,000 right now today in the reserve fund to be able to make that payment. And that's on my list to reach out to Iberia, First Horizons, and First Horizon is sold out. We have talked to the attorney and asked him if he had any contact with Iberia or First Horizons, and he had no luck. So I'll reach out to them next week and see if we can get some information from them on if we can pay that off early in 2022.
There would probably be some minor savings, interest savings if we.
Could be, yes. Yeah.
Todd, if we, do we ACH that payment to them?
It's a check,
It is a check.
yeah. Yeah, it's a check.
So the question, though, is can we utilize
my-
the reserve and prepay them? Will they
Well,
accept prepayment?
We don't know yet, so
Right.
that's, but
Exactly.
Todd and I had spoken about this, and I told him mail a check. Mail it, force them to pay.
Just send
'cause
it.
It'll
That's-
close the account out if they accept it, negotiate it. The flip side of it is that that check just hangs out in limbo somewhere for a year. But I mean, we can hold it for 30 days and come back and spend $35 to stop payment on it. Or like you said, get it in there early and try to make some interest hours on it, or try to, but even at that, let's just, for me personally, it's just about getting it off the books.
That'll be your last payment.
It's
That's
the
right,
last
get that off the
payment, and we
books.
have the
It's
money in the
another
bank.
step in us
It's
moving
there,
forward as a city.
separate account.
Yeah.
I got a question.
Great news, by the way.
Yeah.
Sorry, question on last year the council authorized the line of credit. How much of that is drawn down? How much of that has
Sure.
been reimbursed through FEMA?
No,
Just
that's a great
generally.
question, Jason. That was my next update.
Okay.
So great segue. So at December 31st, the city drew down $1 million on the $2 million note. And we drew down $500,000 in May and the last $500,000 last week to pay additional FEMA-related invoices. So as of today, we've drawn down, or the city has drawn down the entire $2 million. $2 million. Yeah,
And what would you say that we still have outstanding in FEMA cost
Carrie?
after the drawdown?
about,
6, 5, 6?
I think it's a little
Yeah.
less than that. but-
Okay.
Yeah, it's a little less than that.
And so, and for me, it was important to get, I hear a lot of other municipalities having a very hard time paying their vendors. And after Ida hit us like the way it hit us, I've owned a business for 32 years, and I know, one, what it feels like to not get paid. And I know, two, what it's like to get great service, and get great service is that you pay your vendors. And so I took the, hopefully I don't get in trouble by the council again, but I took the liberty to get my vendors paid down. Because like I said, I've been in business, and with this storm and these record heat days that we're having, these record heat days tend to become like vacuum cleaners, and they will suck the storms right out of the Gulf, right into us. And so I made the decision to try to get them down as quick as we could, and because we want to keep them in business, and two, we want to make sure they come here first. Correct.
When are we expected FEMA payment?
And y'all are asking the questions. This is great. So we had some conversation with the city staff that are interacting with the FEMA team, and I think we're making great progress. So we think, I think our current estimate is about 10 to 12 weeks.
Mhm.
That's kind of the timeline for potentially a 7-figure reimbursement from FEMA. So, and just to clarify, that would be on the costs incurred for debris removal costs and emergency response. Nothing else that may be part of any other PWs or FEMA reimbursements that the city and other staff may be working on.
And again, just in full transparency, my priority will be to finish paying out those vendors, and then we'll sit with the council, at some point, 2 at a time, and we'll talk about what we want to do with the difference. Todd and I disagree on it, but we'll get a whole team together, and we'll come up with what we decide that we'd like to do.
That 10 to 12 week,
Todd and I, Councilman Chatterley and I will disagree on it, and then we'll come back and we'll figure it out.
that 10 to 12 week
So,
payment, is that so I've heard the number 1.8 tossed around. Is that number?
Yes, sir. That's what we
Okay.
believe, anyway. And FEMA's a very fickle lady.
Well, yeah,
and
sure.
She
So
decides what.
we pay back, we finish paying the vendors, and we pay back the loan.
So this is the quandary. Okay? You pay back the loan. Once you pay back that loan, it's not a revolving line of credit. It's at a very low interest rate. I think we hang on to that money till we get through storm season, which is only a few more months, and then we come back and pay that loan. You only got, 3.25%, 6 months?
Yeah. I'll just remind the council that we set up that FEMA fund so that the money goes into that fund. The council expends that money from that FEMA fund.
That's correct, and that's fine. And I'm fine with that. Whatever you guys decide, is you guys decide. Like I said, I've had a business for 32 years. I know what it's like to.
Pay the vendors first. We all agree on
And
that.
rob Peter to
We
pay
can
Paul,
cross
so
that
we'll
bridge
figure it out.
in 10 to
cross
12
that
weeks.
bridge with
Correct.
$1.8 million
Yeah.
check in the end.
Correct.
That'll be a wonderful decision to make.
Thank you,
Todd,
Todd.
clarification, and I think I recall from last year that when the order is released by the end of the month, it goes to the state.
Yes.
And it is the normal position of the city not to release that audit publicly until it's approved by the state. So we're not gonna see the audit publicly on June 30th, correct?
Correct. So
And it takes a week or two for the state to review it and rubber stamp it?
So the normal process is the auditors upload the completed signed audit report to the legislative auditor's website. There's a portal. It gets uploaded. We get an email receipt that it's done for our files. And the legislative auditor reviews it, and then they post it in batches on a weekly basis to their website. Their timeline on review, some years it's 2 to 3 weeks. Other years, it might take 6 or 8 weeks. It just depends on their backlog. I can tell you, they do get a substantial volume of reports at June 30th.
So,
So-
Tom,
We may not see the audit.
so just to make you feel a little bit better about the time, we actually got our audit closeout 15 days early. And so
Yeah.
I think that we're gonna try to push our audit up, so we not getting slamming them in at June 30th, and we'll get our audit report back from the state and published pretty much before everybody else.
Well,
because
first in
that's-
the queue is great, or
That's
early
right.
in the queue.
Agreed.
But I
And-
want the public to know that audit is not available to the council or the public until the legislative auditor rubber stamps it as being approved,
Right.
which is a normal event
And-
for all municipalities.
And it's not likely that they would have questions or changes.
But it could happen.
But it could happen, and they do reach out to the auditor with questions and/or changes. I would not expect it in this case, but you never know.
We're hopefully looking at maybe mid-July to the end of July, particularly considering we got it in
Correct.
early.
Correct.
Last year, I think we were right down to the wire.
So, yes, last year, right at June 30th, I'll say even though it's only a week earlier this year, I would say we've been substantially complete for 2 to 3 weeks and working on nits and nats, spelling, some footnote disclosures related to Hurricane Ida and FEMA, et cetera. So the bulk of the work has been done.
Well, good job.
Yeah. So I-
With the
Thank you.
finance department.
Well,
Thank you.
it's Kerry and others on
The whole
the finance team as well.
team. Yes, thank you.
You're gonna be very proud of the audit. You'll be very proud when you see
Good.
it.
I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you, Don.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for making me an integral part of this year's audit. It was incredible to be able to really dig in and start to learn more and understand more.
That's intentional.
Thank you.
You need to be involved and be aware.
That's why I got in 15 days earlier.
All right, new business
Clerk.
number 2. 2022 through 2023 official journal appointment renewal.
Carrie, I have a question, and, I mean, it's not negotiable, but how do these 2022-23 charges, rates compare to previous years? Do you know?
I don't know. I know that they've gone up. Yeah.
Well, just as a point of curiosity, if you could send me an email and tell me what the rate has gone from to. I mean, there is nobody else.
Right. Yeah, there's nobody else.
I'm curious, that's all. Doesn't affect the vote. I'm sorry, what was it? The state. Wonderful. Thank you.
Yeah, so there was proposed legislation, it got stuck in committee this year, but it was proposed legislation that required you to still advertise the titles of things, but as far as your legal notices, you can direct them to your city website to see the full notice.
Perfect.
Hopefully that, yeah, it'll cut back the cost, hopefully that,
Cut back that per line.
yeah, because they keep going up. And John Georges is sure to let you know that he could charge you more, but he doesn't. By state law, he could charge you more. Thanks, John. Appreciate you, John.
Yeah. Motion to accept.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Councilman Johnson, second by Councilman Buddy to accept. Anyone wanting to come speak forth about the official journal, come to the podium. No one coming forth, will now close. All in favor?
Yay.
Yeah.
Yay.
5 yeas, 0 nays, official journal has been accepted.
Address the council.
All right, anyone want to come address the council?
Yeah.
Good night.
Maurizio Francescon, Harahan Planning and Zoning. We have a very busy July so far, I see. We also have our Planning and Zoning Board meeting July 6th for 7 p.m. We have 2 very important ones, the ones that will come up for first reading. This evening was a proposed ordinance 2022-13 and, 12 and 13.
Cool.
So, again, we ask all the public to come and join our public discussion on the 6th. This would be on the final resolutions, final re-subdivision of these. So I'm really proud with what we've accomplished in having open public forum for the Colonial project and moving forward. For these remaining lots, this would be the final re-subdivision of those lots. So again.
On Colonial.
On Colonial, correct, on Colonial. It's nothing to do with the interior yet. This is just Colonial. And that's basically it. So I just wanted to remind everybody, please come out on July 6th, 7 PM here.
Maurizio, just to
Yes.
give you a point of what happened. So today we met with Entergy, and we got them really starting to expedite their planning process, starting to get the procurement of their transformers, getting all the wiring, getting all the tubing in. And we kind of had a press today. I also invited Mr. Forrest Wade into that meeting because he's been kind of real vocal about it, and I've got their permission first. So today we've met with the planner and Patrick Hamby, my representative today, and so they made him a commitment to start, really stepping on the gas to push this forward. Just so you know,
Right.
that if you get questioned about it, because you
Right,
you
and I've
probably will
talked to
at some
Danny
point.
about, stuff there too, and I have questions and stuff. So he's, again, very open, very public. What I'm proud of is just, we've always made this very public, open forum for all the citizens in the community to come in, voice their opinion. It's a process that we have to do, and I'm really proud with we've had our hiccups, but I'm really proud with our board, and we pretty much regularly meet every month, for a few exceptions, but other than that,
Thank you.
You have a full board now? or you still one?
I'm down by one. We have a total of 8, but it's a board of 9, but I need 5 to have a quorum,
Yes, sir.
so.
Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you.
All right.
We're gonna put you on that board.
Okay, no one else comes to speak forward. We'll now close address to council.
Secretary's report for May 2022, total revenues, $881,693. Reports.
Chief Walker's not in. Are you here to do the report for Chief Walker?
Yeah, he
Oh,
right
yeah,
there.
his report's in. Okay. Chief Saint's here? Oh, you want?
He right there.
Just
Yeah,
trying to mess
yeah.
Just messing with you.
You can go back to sleep now.
Next to you.
No report, thank you.
Okay, Councilman Asbill?
Report.
Happy 4th of July. See y'all on July 5th. Please come out for the special meeting. If you have questions or concerns about the fire budget, come out then. Happy 4th.
Councilman Bodie?
Well, I'd like to thank Councilman Asbill for the deferral on 2022-10. I really appreciate that. And for those that don't hear it before then, have a good, safe July 4th.
Councilman Chatelain?
Look forward to seeing all y'all on July 5th. Have a happy 4th of July. And it's hot out there.
Councilman Johnson?
Have a happy and safe 4th of July.
Councilman Wheeler?
Yeah, same, happy 4th of July, sorry, I'm right now. Happy 4th of July, everybody.
I would like to recognize one of our interns today. He's an intern from Tulane. He's a political science student. Perry back there, he's incredible. And he's been working really hard. He's working on a project for us called Restaurant Week. Perry, would you mind coming up maybe just 1 second? Point of personal privilege?
Yeah, sure.
Tell us just a little bit about Restaurant Week.
Sure. So I just kind of came up with this idea. I was talking to Brian a couple weeks ago, or a couple months ago, I guess. The economy's getting bad, so I thought we should do something to help our local restaurants. So I turned to my hometown, Lexington, Kentucky. They do a restaurant week every year. I just thought it'd be a good idea to come up with some good advertising materials and get all the restaurant owners together, get them to run specials. So we got like 10 confirmed restaurants right now, 6 more pending. Uncle Matt's is on the list, and it's gonna work out. It'll be last week of July, so we're gonna do it.
His home address is Tulane University. And the truth is that we're very honored. He's actually going away this summer. What's the program that you're going to?
I'm going to Copenhagen for 4 months.
Copenhagen, right, yeah. I'm proud of him, y'all.
You need an assistant?
Thank you.
You got it. Thank you, Mr. Perry.
Yeah, thank you.
You got it.
Thank you.
All right, just real fast, just want to talk to you about a couple of projects that we're working on in the mayor's office right now, and so maybe give you some figures of some things that we got that are really happening that are great. We got $520,000 in capital outlay awarded to us this legislative session, which has been incredible. feat, and definitely thank you, Councilman, State Representative John Ilg and Senator Kirk Talbot, and Senator Cameron Henry was also instrumental. Senator State Representative Tim Kerner, he's always been there for me. We have a lot of friends in the legislature. We have Treasurer John Schroeder, he's been great. Lieutenant Governor, who's been to the city 3 times, has been incredible. Everybody's been there to help us. Even Congressman Scalise has been down here to help me through some FEMA stuff. Senator Cassidy will be paying me some time, giving me some time in the next week or so to come walk infrastructure through the city, because he's writing his infrastructure bill in DC and wants to hear some ideas from someone who is grassroots infrastructure like myself, and so we've reached out to his staff, and they've reached out back, and that'll be incredible for a senator to come down and spend some time with us. We also got $405,000 in water sector money right now. We got $256 in Delta Regional Authority money. $350,000 come. We're going to try to spend that money on rehabbing Royland and maybe getting some exercise equipment out there. We'll have that conference call tomorrow at 10 o'clock, and we're in the process right now working on a $4.9 million grant to overhaul the entire sewer plant. And Maurizio, to your point, as we start this colonial development, we have to make sure, that we can provide them sewer. I know there's been a lot of concern about the stability and situation of the plant. It has my wholehearted attention at this moment in time, and I do believe we can get it to where it's got to be. And the state is all in on helping us with it. We've been getting a lot of help there from Senator Patrick McMath, Senator Reese, and State Representative Jerome Zarang has been on board of really trying to push this project through and helping us. We've even had a tour from the head of DEQ, Jonathan McFarland, come to the city as well to come try to help me get our second submission in, and maybe we can get it done through on the second time around. The city's doing great. I mean, people are really starting to recognize the prosperity and the good mood and good feeling and the really great positive direction our city's moving in. And it's been incredible to be the mayor of this council and his staff, whether we agree or disagree. I've just been blessed. And with that, I would want to wish everyone a very happy 4th of July and a very safe 4th of July. What's that? And we'll see. No, we'll see. Yeah. And we'll see you guys soon. Thank you. Meeting is adjourned.
No, you're not.
Motion to adjourn?
Pay bills.
Oh, we're paying bill. Oh, man, I hate paying them bills.
Pay bills. Bills paid in May 2022. Total expenditures, $1,349,868.55. No executive session.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Councilman Johnson, second by Councilman Chatelain. All in favor?
Yay.
5 yeas, 0 nays. We are adjourned.